back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
I had a similar experience inside a Taco Bell. Since that day, I will not eat sour cream unless it comes out of a caulking gun.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say you went to Home Depot and bought a caulk gun and were disappointed that it did not have sour cream in it.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Logger Room. It is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me, as always, are none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, guys.
Hello,
Roger.
guys.
Hello, Roger.
Roger. Over.
What?
Stop calling me Roger.
I was over, and Roger was underdone, or something like that. How are you?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know. I haven't really
checked
what day is it? I haven't really checked in. Haven't had my oil checked in a while.
Haven't had your oil checked in a bit. Yeah, well, you need to get on that.
Yeah.
No one has told me how I am, so I don't know.
The car hasn't been out for a drive, so
this is true. That's always. A good
I'm ready. How about that?
There you go.
I'm ready for the
sure?
Super Bowl.
Ready and willing.
I'm ready for the Super Bowl. Why not?
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm ready for the Super Bowl too. I think it's going to be a good one.
I'm ready for the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, look at you.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm all ready. I'm staying in this outfit until Sunday.
I do really hope that if the Chiefs win, they
Sleeping in it.
this is the second. This is the second chance for the Chiefs to douse Andy Reid with barbecue sauce out of a Gatorade container.
Was it Casey Masterpiece that they used last year, though? I forget.
I don't know. I don't really care what it is, as long as it's. I think it's the new barbecue flavored Gatorade that they got to.
Yes, there is that.
Porkerade.
Well, they doused them with confetti last week, so that was
confetti.
I think they should put the sauce and then the confetti on.
Right.
Or put the confetti, put the sauce on the confetti, and then put that on.
There should never be confetti and Andy Reid together. I'm standing by that statement.
Gotcha. Well,
just doesn't seem like a confetti kind of guy.
Well, I like Pete's idea. Sauce them first, and then put the confetti on them,
and then throw the confetti on. Yeah, sort of a modern version.
Sauce them first, and then wrap them in bread.
Version of tarring and feathering.
It's the
only
it's
done
the
with
current day Kansas City version of tar and feathering. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So, but that'll work.
Sauce and confetti.
Awesome. So, well, I mean, there's a few things, that are going on this week. One of them, what is that? It's the Super Bowl. We just talked about it. Yeah, that's happening.
Nobody's been arrested yet or anything.
No, not yet. Although I did hear a report, and this is unsubstantiated.
Are the hookers in a bubble?
I heard it. Yeah, they are actually. They put them in a bubble. From probably third or fourth hand. I heard this, but apparently about 20 players were, including Patrick Mahomes from the Chiefs, were supposed to go to this one particular barber and get haircuts. And this barber tested positive for COVID. And one person in the organization, I don't know who it was, actually did come in contact with him. They haven't tested positive by any means, but yet anyway. But
their hair looks fabulous.
Absolutely. But none of them had gone, apparently.
Maybe don't worry about getting your hair cut from a strange barber.
What I was thinking was is it possible that Brady actually paid the barber to get COVID and then send everybody to him?
They probably gave it to him.
Poor Brady.
Brady probably has it.
I wonder if future generations will just look at what he actually accomplished with absolutely no fucking talent around him.
Probably.
Playing till the age of 63 and say, you know what? He was pretty good.
Playing till 63.
Well, if he wasn't like such an arrogant, obnoxious jerk.
I don't think he's an arrogant jerk.
No, I know. I'm being extremely sarcastic. He's like the nicest guy in the world.
Really?
Which is even more reason to hate him.
After he won the game up in Lambeau, he actually went up to the security guard and asked if it was okay with her that his son come down and give him a hug.
That sounds about right.
So I mean, who else would do that? I mean. Yeah. You're absolutely right, Pete. He's like the nicest
guy's
guy.
A freaking saint. Hate his guts.
Well, you don't hate his guts because he's a saint. You
hate his guts because he was a Patriot. He has no business being a saint.
If he played on the Saints, he would hate him far less.
Exactly. So,
Well, unless the Saints played in the AFC East.
Well, this is true too. That would suck there. But anyway, but well, today is before we get into any Super Bowl conversation. Today is the 13th anniversary. Last week was an anniversary of a Giants Super Bowl. This week is the 13th anniversary of another Giants Super Bowl, Super Bowl 42. Right there, there is Mr. Manning hoisting the trophy. With
Terry Bradshaw was great in that game.
Yeah, he played a good microphone that game. It was really good. But no, it was a wild Super Bowl. And we'll get more to on that later. But did you see? It was very good. Did you see that interview? I forget what it was, Super Bowl Live or whatever. OCU Manura. There was people checking in. What they were talking, like zooming, I guess, in with Brady, and OCU Manura actually got on the line, and Brady went back and forth with him and says something. I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, that was he said something that was one of his worst Sunday memories because he had too much Umanura on top of him. He said between him and Strahan and Justin Tuck, and he actually said, "You guys had such a great defense. You were definitely the better team, and you deserved to win that game." Brady actually said that. So
on that day, for those minutes, they were better.
Yeah. And for those 60 minutes worth of football playtime, they were the better team.
O.C. Umanura, there's a name. What is he up to these days? Is he hosting with Hoda?
I don't. Yeah, maybe.
He might be the fill-in.
He's a fill-in.
Is
O.C. and Hoda.
Is Strahan still doing the morning fucking show thing? He is.
Yeah.
Who is he on with now?
No, it's Good Morning America. He's on. He's on with a bunch of people.
Took over for Charlie Rose.
At least in some areas.
He
doesn't do everything. He doesn't do quite everything Charlie used to do.
No. Who? Because he was on with like Kathy Lee or Kathy Lee's replacement, right? What was her name?
Kelly Ripa.
Kelly. There you go.
Yeah, he was actually on that show, right? He was the permanent host for a while.
For years. Yeah,
right, he had the gig, and then it went.
He took over for
Regis.
Regis, yeah.
But now it's Ryan Seacrest.
Now it's Ryan and Kelly.
So he probably left there for greener pastures.
He left, yeah. He got a better offer from Good Morning America, and Kelly Ripa was pissed that she didn't get the offer, and Strahan did. But I
think Kelly Ripa should be really thankful for everything she has in life and just stick with that.
She's made the most of limited talent.
The thing that she did that I think was one of the best things she did was there was that spoof on The Sopranos. It was her and Tony Sirico, Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos, when they did the spelling bee and the Brooklyn spelling bee.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Mutzadel, Mutzadel, Mutzadel.
Yeah, I was just talking about this with somebody today who was asking me about The Sopranos, and I'm like, you have to understand that, like, the northeastern, especially New York and New Jersey Italians, it's not Italian that they're actually speaking, because the Italian language has vowels at the end of all of these words. It's just generations and generations of literally and figuratively butchering those words.
Yeah, there's a great YouTube video where somebody actually went to Italy,
right,
and asked actual Italians. And was using those pronunciations.
Yeah,
so he would hold up a card with the word.
Yeah,
and they would
no Italian is going to know what gabagool is.
I would like some gabagool.
Yeah. And the native Italian would look at it and they would go,
what?
Yeah,
I don't know what you want.
Yeah. Gabacola. Yeah. And they would go gabagool.
I don't speak Staten Island.
And they would look at it and he would go hold it up, and he would be like, prosciutto.
Yeah,
and they would go, "What do you?" And they would look at him like, "What do you?"
That was actually close, though. They say prosciutto.
Not these people.
No. I'm saying in Brooklyn or wherever they say prosciutto.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's prosciutto.
But every word was, like mozzarella, and no, mozzarella. Yeah. Mozzarella. No, that's not how you say it. And these were actual people. Mozzarella. People who live in Italy. And it's a great video.
Mozzarella. Yeah. By the way, before I forget, I have one good item to add with Kelly Ripa. She did a guest spot on Broad City, which is a great show that's, I think, over now, but check that out. It's really good. Yeah, she plays herself, and it is fantastic. So she does have a sense of humor.
John Stepakura says prosciutto. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
Prosciutto. That's when you hire a professional photographer. It's a prosciutto.
It's a prosciutto. Yeah, there you go. That makes all the sense in the world. But that was definitely something that she did that I thought was good. But yeah, no, Strahan got the got the gig on Good Morning America. She did not. So, and he's between that and Fox NFL Sundays and everything.
O.C. Umenor is on CNBC.
He actually Strahan actually was it a week and a half ago? He actually tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
it's not going to slow him down.
He's been quarantining.
No.
So, but at least I heard. I didn't speak with his doctor, and there weren't any HIPAA violations, whatever. It was reported. So, in any event, so that was that. But yeah, anyway.
And that is today's celebrity COVID update.
How did we get from
brought to you by mozzarella,
celebrating the Giants Super Bowl to what Michael Strahan tested positive?
Brought to you by Gabagool.
Well, because Strahan was in Super Bowl 42, and today's the 13th anniversary of it, so that's how we kind of migrated from that to that.
Oh, okay.
So congratulations to those Giants fans out there to good positive memories of many years ago.
Yes, good positive memories of many years ago. What did you call it before the show started? You said it was like breaking up with a girl and getting remembered of how.
Yeah, it's like looking back and going, "Oh yeah, she used to be with me." It's kind of like when you look at the Giants now. It's
are you pining for lost days?
No, I just think the organization has made some really bad decisions over the last 10 years, 12 years.
Well, hopefully the ones they've made in the last year or so have started to turn that around.
I don't know about that.
We'll see what happens. I mean,
Eli sucked his first couple years, so Daniel Jones could win a couple Super Bowls too.
That's right. Joe Judge is going to be the next Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick. I heard. I guess so. But no, you know what? I mean, you got to admit, they're probably a little bit better off than they were, the second year of McAdoo or the first or second year of Shermer.
Yeah. But it's all part of the decade plus of sucking.
This is true. But, well, time will tell. And
I honestly can't feel that bad for you.
No, this is true. And speaking of the Jets,
I love you guys, but I can't feel that bad for you.
Speaking of your Jets,
one of these shows we have to go on a safari hunt to the back of your room and just see what's actually back there. I never noticed. Is that John Kennedy Pez dispenser waving to us or
no? That is a, believe it or not, it's a family heirloom. It probably should be destroyed because it's offensive. It's a native banging on a drum.
Oh,
that was brought back by some, I think, family relative who was a missionary in Africa, probably 80 years ago.
All right. Well,
so he's about to hit a drum. And
gotcha.
I'm sure it's exploitation was probably carved by natives at the time who were beaten into Christianity, and then
I think he
came home after a year and he brought the statue. He goes, "Look what they made me as a party." I think
you should just tell everybody it's a John Kennedy Pez dispenser.
I like that better. You just say that's what it is. Yeah. No, it's a John Kennedy Pez dispenser.
And in front of it is a study guide for the ACT from a couple of years ago.
There you go.
Nice. That's what's making it look like.
The scale is my scale.
The tribal whittled tribal figure was studying for the ACT.
Mm-hmm. It could be sure. Pretty much. There's no reason. Hey. You can't hold the black man down.
Absolutely, no. Let him go.
No, there's a whole bevy of stuff back there.
Mm.
Like if you look on that top, let me see if I can. If you look right there,
it looks like a green giant or something.
Like a green bat.
That's Patrick from SpongeBob SquarePants.
It's Patrick from SpongeBob.
That's a stuffed Patrick.
Yeah. I think you should be on the show at some point.
There's a few.
It looks like there's some bandages and jumper cables back there.
There are.
This is my bathrobe.
Oh,
there you go.
Why don't you wear that?
I was gonna wear that. It was so cold in here. The heat between this room and the next room is on the same zone.
I think you should
This
put
is just
on
like a little extra.
I think at the beginning
office.
I think at the beginning of every show you should put on your bathrobe. Like
I will tell you something. That is
take off your shoes and put on sneakers. You got to do that.
That is a gloriously regal bathrobe, and I will wear it one week.
I would imagine
you must,
and you will see. It is rather wonderful.
Is it a Dallas Cowboys bathrobe or no?
No. It is just a.
It just happens
comically
to be those colors.
Extravagant robe that I
nice.
so serve.
Okay.
Nice.
Gotcha.
It's also like a couple sizes too big for me.
Really?
So that it doubles as like a tent for a family of 6.
a small family.
Yes.
You needed some if you're caught out in the woods, you put up some sticks, stick them in the ground, and throw this thing over.
Put the robe over it. You're good to go.
You can park a small car underneath it.
Nice.
It's a little lean-to. It's good.
Yeah, there's quite a. You know what? Maybe when football is over, we'll have a new segment. I'll pull something from the shelves every week.
There you go.
At random.
What you were going to say? Pull something from your robe. I think you should pull something from your robe. The new segment.
Well, that's
maybe
that's on my pay channel.
It can pull a prosciutto. That's on your OnlyFans.
I will. That's it. That's on my OnlyFans account.
This week, if you're interested in seeing Radio Pete with soap on a rope around his neck and his bathrobe, then go to.
It's Pete's the Mozzarella Report.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here you go. John Stivercurry says, when I mash in early in the morning, I always have my bathrobe on. I might trademark the bathrobe brewer. I don't know. That's great. You got to do that. You got to do that.
That has, yeah. I thought Raleigh Fingers was the bathrobe brewer.
He was the bathrobe bandit, I thought he was.
That's right. Yeah.
There you go.
Robin Yount was the bathrobe brewer.
Right, exactly. Get it straight. Come on. All right. Well, anyway, speaking of your Jets, as we were saying, there's not obviously a lot to talk about, but I just got to ask you, do you think there's any legitimate shot that they're going to get Watson?
It sounds like it, don't you think?
It sounds like it, and it doesn't,
Last week I would have said they're going to want at least a serviceable quarterback back. And obviously a high draft pick, and that put the Jets and the Dolphins right there at the top. But
sure,
really, they don't. If they're going to get a decent draft pick, they don't really need. I mean, they just need somebody to take snaps and fill the position for a couple of years.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm starting to think that the Dolphins. I mean, the Jets have a little bit better package, I think, with draft picks, but. If you're Houston, you're probably looking at Tua and saying, well, that's a better guy to be under center. And then I don't have to use the third pick on a quarterback. If you're going to get more picks and take the Jets, then I think you probably draft a quarterback.
I think they're going to draft
Darnold is your backup, or you discard him and get what you can for him.
They used to use him for another trade. I think they're going to draft a quarterback. They're going to draft the kid from BYU.
But I mean, it has to be the other thing is it has to be somewhere where he wants to go.
Right.
And if you're looking at
it sounded like it's confirmed. He's open to going to the Jets. Not only is he open,
he wants to go.
He wants to go.
I hear conflicting reports about that. I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing with me. I mean,
if he goes to the Jets,
let's say it's one of those two organizations. You're going to want to go to Miami. They're in a better position right now.
Yeah, but if he goes to the Jets, he's liking the coach better. He's liking Saleh better than Brian Flores, right? And it's also, if he goes to the Jets, it's going to be the Deshaun Watson show. I mean, it's pretty much going to be the Deshaun Watson show down in Miami.
Well, hopefully it's not that Deshaun Watson gets splattered, Joe Burrow, but. I don't know. The thing that if I'm Miami though, I have to look at it and going, okay, can any quarterback come in here and do and fit in with this team? Obviously, Watson's one of those rare talents who could probably go anywhere and make the team better.
Right. The
exception of maybe Kansas City. So yeah, logically it would make sense for him to go to the Dolphins, but maybe he's in on what Houston really wants, and maybe the Jets have more to offer. I think with the second pick, with that second pick, they certainly have. That's a really good calling card. It might be a better calling card than Tua, especially if they think Wilson's going to be a better long-term fit than Tua, which he might be. The fact that the Dolphins are giving up on Tua, it doesn't bode well for Tua.
Right. And the other thing about this that I've been hearing from some people is maybe if they go either with the Jets or the Dolphins, they may not want the quarterback as part of the package at all. If they're going to draft somebody, they may want someone else.
Yeah, they want
the pick 2 or 3. They're going to get a quarterback if they're happy with 2 guys who are not assumedly Trevor Lawrence. If they're happy with either one, there's 3 names out there, right? You got Fields, you got the guy from BYU,
Wilson,
and you got Mac Jones, right?
So
So if they're happy with
Jones is, I think, further down the list than the other 2.
Yeah,
the 3.
Yeah. But if you're happy with 2 of those guys, Houston is, then you're going to get one of them at number 3. And I don't know who else on their team you would want. Maybe you don't want Tua. And if you're getting the Jets and you want the extra first-round pick, maybe you don't want Bradford. Maybe you want
Darnold,
you mean?
Bradford Darnold. You know that. I was thinking about that yesterday. I'm like, I don't know why I keep calling him Bradford.
I think
maybe
the Jets
you don't want Darnold. Maybe you want someone else.
I think the Jets are in a situation for whatever Houston asks for in addition to the pick, you give them.
Of course.
I mean,
that may or may not be their, starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I saw something.
Nobody. I mean,
I saw something yesterday where they said that, and they're comparing it to, and we'll get into that in a second, but the whole Stafford trade out to the Rams, and we'll get into that in a second. But based on what the Lions got back for Stafford, they're saying, oh, well, the Jets or anybody are going to have to give up the farm to get Watson if Detroit got back what they got back for Stafford.
The Jets farm is a rabid goat and a one-legged pig.
Well, here's the thing. The reason they got all the draft picks that they got wasn't so much for Stafford. It was for taking Goff's contract.
Yeah.
And that exorbitant contract and absorbing that contract. That's what the picks were for. It wasn't for the fact that they were getting Matthew Stafford, and that's how good a quarterback he's worth those picks. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback, but I do not believe that the Jets or anybody for that matter is going to have to give up more than that to get.
Yeah, but they didn't give up the second pick in the NFL.
Right,
draft.
they gave up this year's first round and next year's first round, and actually, no, I'm sorry. The Rams gave up the next year and the year after, 2022 and 2023 first round. They gave up the second round this year or third round this year, and a second round next year or something like that, and Goff. But
I mean, the Jets it could be a player, the number 2, and then
a number 1 next year.
Right.
From what
another first round pick this year. You can
they got Seattle's number 1 this
year. From what I'm reading. From what multiple times, not just one report, Houston is really hot on Wilson, and they don't want to take a chance of not getting him. And so that second pick is what's the most attractive thing right now.
It's going to guarantee they get Wilson, right?
Exactly. So it's not so much that Watson wants the Jets over Miami at a high level. It's that Houston wants that second pick. They want to be able to. We all know Lawrence is going first, so they want
they want their choice of everybody else, which raises the question: if that's what you're going to do, then maybe you ask for something else besides.
No, they will.
Bradford.
Yeah.
Besides Darnold, someone other than Darnold. Maybe they don't care about. Maybe they don't want.
I think the Jets. I think the Jets will probably make it. I think the Jets need to get rid of Darnold's contract and not have him lingering out there. And I don't think he's trade bait for anybody else. So I think he'll be included in it.
Well, he's still on his rookie contract, so it's not like it's a lot. Of
rookie, yeah.
What I mean is moving forward. Yeah,
right. But let's say Houston wants who's the best player on the Jets? Quinnen Williams.
Right.
Do you make you got to throw him in now?
Well, look, the other thing too is
if they're going to take a quarterback at number 2, then maybe they're going to want the best non-quarterback the Jets have to offer.
Well, they might take a quarterback and say, "Hey, we don't want him. We've learned from other teams' mistakes, and we don't want to put him in the first 4 games of the season."
It would make sense for them to take Darnold, let Darnold, play this year, play out his rookie contract with Houston, and then put Justin Fields in next year at some point.
Right.
You know,
I don't think it's going to be Fields. I think it's going to be Wilson
or Zach Wilson, whatever, either or. But
that's who I feel like they're really hot on.
Right. But either way, at least they have somebody that can, take the snaps this year, so they don't have to throw their rookie to the.
Look, if the Jets can manage to hold on to Darnold and keep him as a backup quarterback, obviously he's not going to be happy in that role, but
I think the Jets would be. It would behoove the Jets at that point, if Houston didn't take Darnold, to trade him to some other team that
what are you going to get for him?
Quarterback, whatever. Get a
Nothing.
second-round pick next year.
Who wants Sam Darnold? Raise your hand. No one. There's only one other team.
There are worse quarterbacks.
Who?
I'm sure of it. Give me a minute. I'll think of a couple.
They're not in the same stadium, but they're not going to admit that. That's it. He doesn't even have to leave his house. You get to stay in your house. Here you go.
There you go.
You and Daniel Jones can fight it out for the battle of mediocrity.
Well, in any event.
Well, listen, if you're the Giants,
I'm wrong, but Sam Darnold was a number 3 pick, right?
Yeah.
And he was picked in the draft. He was picked before Josh Allen.
Remember Ryan Leaf?
He was picked before Josh Allen.
I know.
And yeah,
he was picked before a lot of people. Again, the Jets wish.
No, I'm specifically speaking about quarterbacks.
This is
here we are.
This is what I'm
He is the Sam Bowie of NFL.
We start out the show talking about a Giants Super Bowl win, and then it's beat up on the Jets. Now
I'm not beating up on the Jets.
It's bad enough I compared him to Bradford. You just compared him to Sam Bowie.
Sam Bowie. I didn't go there.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited for the Jets. My point being is that I think it would be great if Deshaun Watson goes to New York.
Yeah, I think it would be great for New York. Not obviously it's going to be incredible for the Jets, but I think it would be great for New York too.
Yeah.
So, but hey, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
They're the Jets. They still have time to screw it up.
They're slow playing it. I mean, there was a couple of reports that say that this might last until training camp, so it wouldn't even involve this year's draft picks.
It's got game of next year.
And I think that's false because it's got to involve this year's draft picks, right? I mean, that's
when is the draft?
Getting them.
Yeah. When is the draft?
April
3
29th.
months, right? Yeah. So it's got to be done before that.
Yeah. So it's stupid. Of
It'll
course,
be done on like the 25th.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. If they're gonna trade them and they can get the second draft pick this year, they're gonna do it before the draft. It's not happening. Right. It's not waiting till.
Yeah, it's the only thing the Jets have to. It's the only card the Jets have to play.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
I mean, unless it's a draft the person we want and then trade them later. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense either now. Yeah. So what do you think of what do you think of that Stafford trade anyway?
I think it's good for both teams.
Yeah, they could do a sign and trade, I guess.
Yeah.
But why would you? Why not just make the trade?
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Just do it. Yeah.
Unless there's some financial implication.
Look, I was looking at Stafford and Goff's numbers, just numbers. I realize stats don't tell everything. They're really similar. Goff's numbers are not as bad. He doesn't. He's in 18. He had a really good year, obviously, and threw a lot of touchdowns. His touchdowns are down. His interceptions are up a little bit, but Stafford and Goff's numbers are not very different. I think Goff is going to do okay in Detroit. I think the expectations are going to be off. I think he's going to be with a coach that maybe he's not at odds with. Right. And we'll see with Stafford. Stafford's one of those guys that he's obviously a very good quarterback. Mm-hmm. Is he a Phillip Rivers or does he have the ability to be this guy? I just don't know. And does this put the Rams in? I think it puts them in a better situation, but does it make the Rams better than?
Does it get them over the next hurdle?
Does it get them? Are they the favorite in the NFC? I don't think so.
No. How old is Goff?
Goff's 26.
So he's a little older than that, 27, 28. I'll find out.
To me, I think that might give that's what gives LA. That's something they wanted. Not oh man, we want a quarterback who's You
mean Detroit wanted a younger quarterback? They wanted an older quarterback.
No, I think that
you are correct, sir. He's 26.
26, yeah. I think LA wanted someone with a little more experience. And I think that's what.
Yeah, I mean, you got
make them better. I mean, Stafford is
5 or 6 years left with Stafford. Stafford seems older. He's kind of like
he's 32.
Jay Cutler mold, you know.
Yeah, he's 32 or 33. So
he turns 33 next week.
You got four good years left with him.
Yeah, and maybe more if you might go to 40. But he's kind of he's battle tested, is what I'm saying, and he's tough. We know he's tough.
He is tough. He's battle tested.
But the Rams are win now.
Yeah,
they're set up to win now.
They are.
So I just think maybe they thought we're not going to get there with Goff.
And Stafford's never had a defense of any sort around him. So the fact that he doesn't have to be a gunslinger, being down 20 points at halftime all the time,
yeah,
I think suits him a little better. If the Rams can continue to have a running game and balance, not make Stafford have to throw the ball 50 times a game.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, who has Stafford had in the backfield?
Nobody.
Who's he had to run the ball ever?
Been a revolving running back story since Barry, really, in Detroit.
And you're right. He never had he never had a defense and never had a running game.
No, but I mean,
he's pretty big components of having a winning football team. So.
I mean, he's played in a division that has had a lot of parity over the years. Yeah. There's always the close rivalry games between Green Bay and the Bears and Minnesota, and he's. In that division, he's always been the second best quarterback in that division.
But he's always been on the worst team. Right. In other words, if you look at the last, half a decade,
right?
Yeah, other second best quarterback on the worst team.
Yeah, and Detroit's gotten 0% better.
I mean, they had a few years there where they were, battling. Yeah, I mean, in that division, there's Green Bay now, and I mean, the Bears' record is better than they are. And I'm not sure there's a big separation between Detroit and Minnesota. Is Stafford? It'll be interesting to see. I put him in the same basket as guys like Phillip Rivers and Andrew Luck when he was playing. Guys who I think can put up really gaudy numbers, but let's see what they can. Let's give him an opportunity in the postseason and see what he can actually do. Right. He doesn't have a lot of postseason experience, obviously.
No. I think he has every opportunity to flourish there, and I think he will.
Yeah.
I think he goes to a much
well. He's in LA too, and he's out of Detroit. I mean, he's probably doing backflips right now.
He's back in LA. He can hang out with his best friend from high school again.
Whoever that is,
Clayton Kershaw.
Oh, all right, great. Well, listen, he could follow the Kershaw method, right? Be a loser for a number of years, and then finally put it together.
Exactly.
I wouldn't call Kershaw a loser. He just didn't win.
Well, in the playoffs. In the playoffs.
Yeah.
It took him a while.
I knew it.
But you know what? That's a formula that a lot of great players have followed who didn't have great postseason success.
There's a lot of great quarterbacks who have never won a Super Bowl.
Never ever suggest that Clayton Kershaw isn't a
loser. I mean,
pitcher. He just was a loser in the playoffs, really, until this year.
He wasn't able to finish the job in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, but
Stafford, of course, really
Stafford
certainly doesn't have as much experience in the playoffs.
Stafford's going to be the fourth starter on the Dodgers.
Well, of course, that came a part of the contract too.
That's right.
So, but in any event,
I think it'll be interesting. It'll be odd. I mean, he's one of those guys who I kind of thought maybe he'll end his career in Detroit, but.
Yeah, that's going to be weird to see because it seems like he's been around for a lot longer than he has. Again, he's not young, but he's in that last.
He came into the league when he was 21, so he's been around for 12 years, 13
right, but
years.
He's only 33, going to be 33 years old. I would have thought he was 36.
You look at Tom Brady; he's got at least another 10 years now, right?
Yeah, Brady's going to go until probably.
I think you need to look at Eli and Ben Roethlisberger as sort of pushing the outer limits.
Pushing the outer limits of that, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, speaking of Brady, let's use it as a segue, and let's do some Super Bowl talk. That is coming up this week, so as well. Speaking of that, just to get into it,
what's Kansas City favored by? Is it 5.5 or 6?
You know what? I was just going to check that. I have the over/under for a lot of other stats. I didn't find that right before the show started, but let me just tell you this while I was looking at that. Harry Carson was quoted today. He was quoted yesterday. He won they gave out the Thurman Munson Awards yesterday, and a few people won them.
people who should be in the Hall of Fame but have been ripped off their entire fucking lives. Is that what the Thurman Munson Award is?
That's the Thurman Munson Award.
Best Yankee catcher since Yogi Berra. Yeah.
There you go. Well, Harry Carson was talking about Tom Brady, and he said the way Brady's moving, the way he's playing, the level he's playing at 43, he looks like he could play for another 7 years till he's 50. Forget about 45, that he thinks he could play till he's 50. What's your take on that?
Yeah,
I mean, we know he's not gonna, but I mean,
no, because
who the hell knows?
Because here's the thing. Obviously, he's not exactly the same as he was 10 years ago.
And he was never the most fleet of foot.
Time always takes its toll. So you might say, oh, yeah, he looks great at the end of this year. He could play another 10 years. And then at the end of next year, you go, well, he doesn't look as good. Maybe he's going to play for 2 or 3 more years. And then after another year, you go, yeah, he's pretty much done. It can catch up to you in a hurry. You can't look at what he's done now and say he's going to be at exactly this level for the next 6 years. So therefore, he can play for 7 more. He probably will, because he's Tom Brady, also known as Jesus.
If Kansas City wins,
he can play as long as he wants.
If Kansas City wins, I think Brady will play till he's 46.
46.
I do.
So you think he wants another win? So you think if the Bucks win, he's done?
I think it would be smart for him to go out on top. I really do. I mean, it would make, if I was him, I would. I'd grab my supermodel wife and my poster children and head off to my private island, and whatever the case might be. But
right.
I mean, look, it would be an upset. It would be a great story, and only Elway has really, I guess you can maybe say Peyton Manning, but there's very few people who have gone out on the top. And
well, we said last week. I mean, if you're comparing apples to apples, you're talking about a quarterback that had won a Super Bowl and went to another team. Whatchamacallit? Obviously Craig Morton did it. The 4 of them. Craig Morton did it, but he didn't win with his second team.
Yeah, Manning's the only one, right?
Manning's and Kurt Warner did it, but he didn't win his second team. So Manning did, but on his second try in the second Super Bowl with Denver.
Right, and he was much less.
He was more of a factor in the Super Bowl that they lost.
Right. I mean, he arguably had his best year as a professional. And talk about dropping off. That's a good example of where Manning. How many? I think he was on the Broncos for 3 seasons. I think it was the second
3 or 4. Yeah.
3 or 4. I think it was the second season that he had just his best. I think his best year as a pro. And then, that last year when he won the Super Bowl, he was he managed the clock. That Broncos defense won that game.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like we said last week. I mean, he didn't even the end of the season. Yeah. He wasn't even playing. Brock Osweiler was winning the games to get them to the Super Bowl.
Right. I mean, the reason why I say it, if Brady wins, is that the odds of them repeating are so minimal these days. So okay, so he wins this year. Let's just say he comes back next year and he's 45, right? The year. I mean, I just think if he loses, he'll be back. He'll give it another couple shots.
He got a 2-year contract, so he doesn't have to renew a contract or anything. He's got another year right now.
If he wins, though, it would be ridiculous for him to come back for another year. He might. He's Tom Brady. He might, but
I think he might. I think he might come back even if he wins, because then he's, if he wins this year, he's 7 for 10 in the Super Bowl. Right. And then even if he comes back and loses, he can say, okay, well, now I'm probably not going to win anymore, so now I can hang it up. I think as long as he feels like he's got a shot and winning it, he's going to come. And look, we don't know what's going to happen at the end of that contract.
He's got a horrible job. It's a hard job. So I mean, why would you want?
Well, sure. I mean, you want to get out of there early. That's what most players do. But, but I'm saying,
he's got his pension. He's got his pension waiting for him.
Exactly.
if he
I'm sure he's got a couple IRAs, and
if he wins it this year, or if he loses it this year and then comes back next year and maybe he looks pretty good, or he's not quite the same Tom Brady, but he's still good. There's no guarantee that Tampa Bay is going to want him back. They're certainly if they're going to have to, offer him another.
Well, that's part of my point is that it's
and at that point, then what do you do? Well, I'm not going to a third team.
The Giants would probably sign him then.
He'll go back go to the Giants.
He's not going to a third team unless it's the Chiefs. He's going to want to go to another team that's ready to go to the Super Bowl and win. So.
Right.
How would you feel if it's the Jets?
Again, Tom Brady?
Yeah.
I think I would probably find a new AFC team.
There you go.
I don't think I can root for the Jets
with
Tom Brady.
Put all your eggs in the Dallas Cowboys basket.
It's just
that would be sacrilegious.
He's it would be storybook. I think it's going to be really hard for Tampa Bay to win this game. I mean, I feel like Kansas City has not played their best game yet.
I agree with you. And they did play their best game last week.
Right.
So far this season. But to answer your question before, Kansas City is favored by 3.5.
It's only 3.5. I mean, I feel like that. What does Vegas know that we don't know? I feel like that's a good bet. I feel like that's a good bet. Now, granted, the Patriots, the Chiefs, there's been very few blowouts in recent history in the Super Bowl, but 3.5 is a doable number.
3.5 is a doable number.
I just feel like that's a.
Then of course the final score is like 17-14. Which it's not going to be because it's not going to be a defensive battle. So it's going to be 37-34.
I think Tampa Bay's got to keep Kansas City under 30 points to win this game. I don't see Tampa Bay being able to put up more than 30 points unless they can get one or two scores on defense. I mean,
the over-under is 56.5.
Yeah. I think this game could get out of hand.
Yeah, it could very easily get out
of hand. I really do.
Interesting.
Depends on what Mr. Bowles does with his defense against Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill. So.
The other thing, too, that people are not really catching on is that Kansas City's defense is looking a lot better than it did this time last year.
Yeah.
So,
they look better.
You've been saying it for weeks.
Yeah, they look.
You said that weeks ago, and then they barely won a bunch of close games, and we kind of went, maybe they're not that good. But
the defense kept them in those games.
Yeah, they kind of have cranked it up. I will listen. We're gonna do the official pick segment for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay, because we have to review the regular season too.
Sure.
So I would just say what could be something of a difference maker, not the difference maker, but part of it is the Kansas City offensive line, which is now.
Yeah, they're down one. They're missing one. Yeah,
both of their ends, and I think their backup center is also got the COVID protocol.
They're not missing their tight ends. That would be a huge loss.
No, their defense. They're
defensive. Oh, you're talking the defensive line.
No, the offensive
line. Tackles.
They're missing their starting tackles. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Ends, not ends.
Here's a silly question.
I am football. No things about.
Guys on ends, fat guy on ends.
Fat guy, put him over there.
With 7 on jersey, 70 something.
Not play.
Here's a silly question for you. Let me ask you, both of you. Let me ask you this: hypothetically speaking, God forbid this even happens, but God forbid. But either team doesn't matter. Well, the Chiefs or the Bucks, it doesn't matter. Either team, significant amount of starting players test positive and have to go into COVID protocol and can't play. Do they play the game? Do they postpone it?
That's not even.
God forbid, but I'm just saying. I mean, they've gone this far during the season.
No, I think unless it's a serious amount from both teams,
serious amount,
then you play the game. Look, this is part of it. This is why if I was the coach, I'd have these guys on locked up.
Lockdown, yeah. Just you can't. You're not going out to talk to the media. You're sitting in your room by yourself on your computer talking to the media.
I'd throw the meat through a slot.
Kansas City didn't even show up until this past Saturday, right?
Yeah,
they didn't even get into town until Saturday. They stayed away.
Yeah.
Look, there are protocols in place. Everybody knows what they are. Everybody knows what the stakes are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If the players violate them against strict orders, obviously, then that's a lack of discipline on the team. But if you don't control your guys, it's your own fault.
Right. The reality of it is. There was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal today about the NFL did a pretty intensive summary of the spread of COVID and how through the high infection rate on the Tennessee Titans earlier in the season, what really works and what doesn't work. It was actually really an interesting article. I would suggest people read it unless you're one of those believers that think that, the Jews are shooting lasers out of the sky and people are sucking the blood out of babies from space. Yes. But if you're just looking, what was interesting about it is that they found out that it's really what happens is that if they're not wearing a mask and they're indoors, 6 feet doesn't really mean anything. And that was that's what the NFL changed, is that they became much more stringent on the duration of the quarantine and making sure that when they were in indoors that everyone was wearing masks, and that they severely limited people's interaction for more than 5-10 minutes with anybody outside of the internal team members and staff. And that's what brought it down. And you have to, if you look at the numbers, the NFL, it was pretty incredible that the NFL was able to have the season that they did with as little COVID impact. Now, when you look back on it, it's like, there was a lot, but there's a lot of players in the NFL. There's a lot of traveling, and it did get better as the season went on. And
there was the few in the beginning, and they moved some stuff around, and then it kind of stopped, with the exception of that Ravens thing a little bit further in.
Right. The NFL might have the largest case study in the U.S. of the COVID transmission, and it's an interesting article. It really is, and so getting back to your point, John, I hope that's not the case.
I hope it doesn't happen. I hope that doesn't. But my point is, if there's a significant amount of superstar position players on one team,
right?
Do they play the game or do they postpone it?
You have to play.
So it's a foregone that team's going to lose then.
The fact that the Super Bowl's in Florida is what scares me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. So.
Well, look, there's only so much excuse you can make for people.
Unless Tom Brady tests positive, then they have to cancel.
Well, then they have to cancel. Yeah. Even the young. Because
it's the only caveat there.
He will never test positive. He probably has the COVID this whole time. He just never. Yeah. He's Tom Brady.
Right.
Even the young guys have to control themselves, and if they don't, then it's your own fault.
There's plenty of times after the game's over for whatever it is you want to do.
Go on back to Kansas City and go
nuts. Go nuts.
I saw a thing the other day. Meme or whatever. It said that Tom Brady's only several years younger. I think it's 6 or 7 years younger than Mahomes' father.
Yeah,
that was pretty interesting.
Well, Mahomes is pretty damn young, and that's the scary part with Mahomes. If Kansas City can keep this team together, we could be looking at
the next dynasty.
Really the only dynasty that we've seen in the last 10, 15 years in the NFL.
That's true, because technically you can't call the Patriots a dynasty. The team was, the players were not, because they were, the only.
Well, and there was a big gap between some of those Patriots Super Bowls.
Well, that's true too. They won.
It was almost two different teams.
Yeah, they won in I think they won in 02, 05 and 06, or 04 and 05. That's it. 02, 04.
Well, yeah, but how many years has Tom Brady been in the?
Yeah, it's Brady and Belichick. Those are the only.
Brady and Belichick. Yeah,
that's
so they won 3 out of 4 back in the early 2000s, and then the next time they won was 2015.
Yeah,
right. But I'm saying over the course of his career with New England was what? How many seasons?
20. He played 20 seasons.
20. And how many Super Bowls did they go to?
They went to 8. They went to not 9.
9. So
he won 6 and lost 3.
Roughly half the time that he was there.
Yeah, not only did
they went to the Super Bowl.
They almost went to the Super Bowl 50% of every season. That's just incredible.
To me, that's kind of a dynasty.
Well, the big,
I know there were large gaps in between and stuff, but when you go,
large gaps between winning, not going, because like I said, they won in it's the 01 season, the 03 season, and the 04 season.
Yeah, but
they won.
Buffalo was a dynasty.
They
never went, right?
They went in the 07 season, and they went in the 2011 season too, and lost them. And then
right, but
they started.
I'm saying I don't think it's a win to be a dynasty.
Patriots are definitely a dynasty. What I'm saying is that there's almost 2 dynasties there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah. So there's enough
One
different
from 01
team.
to 07, and then 2011 to 2018.
All right, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, it's like the Yankees when Jeter was a rookie, and the Yankees when Jeter was in his last year. You know, they're two different teams. They weren't a dynasty, regardless, either way. But the early Yankees, you could say they were. But when it was Jeter and Williams and Posada and Pettit,
didn't they win like 4 out of 6 years or something like that?
Right. But then it's totally different team later on. Same thing with Brady.
But the catcher when Jeter won his first World Series was his manager when he won his last World Series.
Joe Girardi. Yeah.
So, but
those are interesting questions. What is that amount of time in between, and how much of the team has to stay together for it to be?
My point being is that I think Kansas City is really the only team I see in the NFL right now who, as they're currently made out, is dynasty ready.
Yeah, but I mean, is it even possible to keep enough of those parts together?
I think so.
I think you can.
They have so much talent. When you have Le'Veon Bell as your third string running back,
think about that.
It's just insane.
Think about that for a second. Le'Veon Bell started the season on the Jets, and he's finishing the season in the Super Bowl
as a third string running back.
If you go back and look at Pittsburgh in the big three,
right?
Roethlisberger, Bell, and Antonio Brown,
right?
Who didn't make out so well amongst those three guys?
Roethlisberger. Antonio Brown's in the Super Bowl.
Brown's in the Super Bowl too.
Well, Roethlisberger is also the only one out of all of them that has a ring.
This is true.
I don't think Big Ben's complaining
Sunday,
too much.
Probably. That's only for a few more days.
One of them will have it.
Yeah, and he's got 2 rings too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know, but if you keep, I mean, you're right. You don't if you keep one wide receiver and Kelsey and one good running back,
they'll keep. I mean, even if it's the next 3 years, let's say they'll have Kels, they'll have Mahomes. I think Tyreek Hill is still has 2 or 3 years left on his contract.
Sure. This is Clyde Edwards-Helaire first year.
Yeah, they have so many
young rookie running backs last year.
They have a rookie running back who is beating out Le'Veon Bell and what's his name just to play. Yeah. It's just crazy. I mean,
you think about that move though. I mean, you had Kareem Hunt, and then you let him go because you signed rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's sort of like pseudo what the Pats were doing. Clear up cap space with a higher.
It's quantity.
It's quantity, not.
Well, right, but you also had
the difference is that Kansas City has quality and quantity,
at the same.
Whereas the Patriots had, how many 5'7" white guys who ran a 12-second 40-yard dash can you put in there for Tom Brady to throw 6-yard out patterns?
12-second 40-yard dash. I can run a 12-second 40-yard dash.
I know you can.
Now.
Put a Dunkin' Dunk.
You're too tall for the position, though.
To
be on New England.
That's right.
I'm too tall to be a wide receiver in New England.
Right. They were. What was the Duper and Clayton, right?
Yeah.
What was
the Marx brothers? The Marx brothers.
They were small guys.
Yeah, the Smurfs.
The Smurfs. Yeah, they had a great quarterback throwing to them. So size doesn't always matter, guys.
That's what I hope she says.
That's what they say. But
that's emblazoned on my family crest. Actually,
is that right?
Yeah.
Right. The Chiefs
emblazoned on your underwear.
Emblazoned on your underwear. Yeah. Your yoga pants. Your Chiefs. The Chiefs' total points over under is 29.5.
That's what did I just say? I think they have to keep. I think they have to. I just can't see Tampa Bay scoring over 30 points on offense in this game. I just don't.
Yeah, the Chiefs get into the 30s and push a little bit. They're scoring 34, 37 points to win the game, and I think they're going to do that. But we'll see what happens. Mahomes is here. Here you go. Here's an interesting stat. Not stat, but what you call it? Whatever you want to call it.
We'll call it a stat.
We'll call it a stat. Thank you.
Fact.
A factoid.
A nugget to consider.
A betting line. How's that? There you go. All right. Passing yards, total passing yards, over under for both quarterbacks. Mahomes is
360.
325.5. Brady 295.5. So, according to Vegas, Mahomes is going to throw for 30 more yards than Tom Brady is. So
he could throw for 130 more yards.
I think he could throw for 230 more yards.
It doesn't.
Are those numbers
really
reflecting? Are those numbers reflecting on what they think Mahomes' capability is, or what they think Mahomes' capability versus Tampa's defense is?
There's a giant computer program and 17 nerds running stats on it.
No, those numbers have one purpose and one purpose only, and that they are designed to get the most people to lose
bet.
Money. Yeah, to bet, and they're stacked. The odds are stacked in the house's favor. So it has nothing to do with how much they actually think he's going to get.
Yeah.
It has what can we get people to bet on.
I think Tampa Bay's
probably going to win.
I think Tampa Bay's got to score one touchdown on either defense or special teams, and I think they have to have at least 3 turnovers in this game that they turn into points to win. Right. I think it's really going to come down to Tampa's defense. I think Brady and the offense will do enough, but I really think it's going to. Tampa Bay is going to have to do what the Giants did to Brady in their last Super Bowl together. That's what they're going to have to do tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what's going to have to happen. That's what's going to have to happen. So, we'll see what happens.
They got JPP.
They do have JPP.
Who's looking great.
Yeah. He's looking phenomenal.
That was definitely good.
Their defense is
good move on the Giants to get rid of him.
Yeah,
he was done.
Well, listen,
he needed
a change of scenery.
There's so many jokes there, but
I'm
not going to go there.
Do you know he has 2 interceptions this year?
He does. Yeah.
How?
That's 2 per hand.
Yes. Well, that's as high as he can count on one hand.
Jesus. Somebody had to go there. Wasn't going to be me.
Might as well be me.
It might as well be you. There you
go. The Giants didn't have to give an arm and a leg for him. So.
All right. So there we go.
And they ensue. All right.
I mean, if you're going to linger on the subject, you know where we're going.
Yeah. Changing the subject. So what's the not to get too far away from football, the halftime show.
Who's playing?
I have no idea.
Ozzy? Is he going to do that? Is he going to do side 1 of Blizzard of Oz in its entirety?
No, it's actually they're gonna preview the new Ozzy and Jack on the road.
I think if Ozzy
show an episode of Ozzy and Jack on the road.
I think if
live on a big screen in the center of the field, that's the halftime.
I think Miley Cyrus should do Crazy Train.
That would be interesting. While swinging on a ball.
Whatever she wants to do. She can do whatever she wants.
Or sitting on a train, one or the other. The Weeknd is playing the halftime.
The Weekend?
Oh,
or the
Weekend? That's right.
The Weeknd.
Weekend.
I what do you pronounce it? Weekend or weekend? There's no
weekend,
E there.
I believe.
It's WEEKND. Weekend.
Yeah, that's called the Weekend. Yeah.
Weekend. No, it's
like
END. Weekend.
It's not a new. It's not a new goth band from Hasbro Heights.
The Weekend.
I call it the Weekend.
Oh, it's like what is that from The Odd Couple? Sheldon.
Sheldon.
There's no O on his birth certificate.
Sheldon.
Yeah, it's the Weekend.
Oh, I won't be watching halftime.
Sheldon Turner.
Halftime will be snack time.
And who played Sheldon?
It was Rob Reiner.
Tom Brady.
That I know. I know.
Her actual husband played her.
Yeah, that's right.
I was reading an article and they said the way to get younger listeners to your podcast is to
stop
definitely go deep into the Rob Reiner.
Why not?
He's very contemporary. He directed The Princess Bride.
Yeah, very contemporary. Yeah.
There you go.
Spinal Tap.
These go to 11.
These go to 11. Mm-hmm. But why is that better? It's just better. It goes to 11.
Why not just make them go to 10?
I think it's this way. No, it's this way. No, I think it's this way.
Yes. Anyway, all right. So back to football. Yeah. So 6:40 Sunday night, Chiefs versus Bucks. Should we do? Should we do a little beaten by the coin in our picks?
Yeah, let's do our final.
We should
beaten by the coin football edition.
Final beaten by the coin football edition. We should do it right now. Beaten by the coin.
Beaten by the coin.
I'm sure I'll lose to the coin.
No one wants to be beaten by the coin.
And in fact, no one was beaten by the coin.
I'm going to miss this song.
We'll put it in something else somewhere.
We're gonna have to find some other arbitrary selection process for any of our other picks.
There you go.
Like Beaten by the Magic 8 Ball, and we could bring the music back for that or something.
We could do that.
All right, so final football segment for Beaten by the Coin until next season, of course. And as we all knew was going to happen, it was a banner week last week or 2 weeks ago with the conference championships, with you two going 1-1, me and the Coin going 0-2. Thanks, Buffalo. And we all lost with Green Bay, of course. So Jersey Johnny ends up, and I'm not even going to count because it's all over as far as the except for the shouting. Jersey Johnny's 40 games over 500, 64-24. And Harry gets second place by 2 games at 57-31. Yours truly 55-33. And the Coin 6 games under at 41 and 40.
Tell you what, we don't. I mean, those are all pretty good records.
Damn good.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Even the Coin's not that bad.
Even for an arbitrary.
Even the Coin's better than Terry Bradshaw.
This is true.
There you go.
This is true.
There you go. Well, those guys pick against the spread, right?
Of course, we were picking the Giants and Jets most of the year.
No.
Yeah.
We did have an unfair advantage in that respect.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, So I guess we'll. I wonder who you guys are choosing for the Super Bowl.
I'm choosing against the team I want to win,
and that is.
I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think if the Bucs win this game, and I realize the spread doesn't say this, I think it's got to go up there at the top 4 or 5 upsets in the history of the Super Bowl. But we'll see. Obviously, Vegas does something that maybe we don't, but 3.5 just seems awfully low.
3.5 is awfully low for a team that we all expect to. You never know what's going to happen with the Bucs defense.
It would be so delicious if Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl in his first year with freaking Tampa Bay.
Well,
it's like he dragging Bruce Arians across the finish line.
Here's good news for you guys, pick wise. I'm actually going to pick Tampa Bay.
Good, thank you.
Which means that Kansas City's going to win.
I want you to pick Kansas City. So,
but I think Tampa Bay actually is going to do this.
I hope you're right.
I think it's just one of those. You can look at all the numbers and do all the math and all that stuff, and everything points to Kansas City coming out on top, whether it's by a lot or a little. But sometimes the unthinkable happens, and if there are any football gods, I think sometimes they like to see great things.
True.
And I go back to this years ago, and I don't want to. It's maybe a sore subject for you, Harry, but it's not intended because of that. When the Red Sox came back in the ALCS from down 0-3, and it had never been done. Right? It was bullshit. Right? It had never been done before, and all that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was actually. For a while that year in the fall, I had the previous fall, I guess, I had worked up in Westchester, a radio station, and Bill Mazer was on the afternoon after he left DVD. He went up to VOX in Westchester, and
Bill Mazer,
he did afternoons, and a friend of mine worked there, and I'd sort of been a fill-in at the station, so Bill's son Arnie made me the studio producer, and after I left there to go out to Riverhead, he called me up when they were desperate for a guest and would have me on, and we would talk sports. And I think it was 3-2 at that point. And I said, the baseball gods like to see amazing things. And whether you're a Yankee fan or not, I think Boston's going to come back and do this because it's one of the something that's never been done. And what makes it even bigger is it was Boston coming back against the Yankees, right? The redheaded stepchildren coming back against the greatest franchise in the history of pro sports, their arch nemesis. If it's going to happen, it has to happen that way. It has to be big. And I think that you got the same thing going on now. I think Tampa Bay is going to come back and win this game, and it's going to be big because the football gods...
We'll have to call Tom Brady Big Puppy.
The football gods want to see it, and we should be...
Big Puppy?
As much as it'll pain me when it happens to see him win another one, I think it's going to be big, and we're going to be fortunate enough to witness something that's phenomenal.
I have a question. How many fans are going to be allowed into Tampa Stadium?
They said it.
Because I mean, what a shame.
20,000 maybe?
Yeah, I think 20. And
it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot.
But a lot of people are saying there's going to be way more than that.
Yeah,
it's going to be a super
spreader event. Somehow get in there.
I'm not sure it's that many, but I do know that they have a lot of first responders and a lot of healthcare workers and stuff like that. They gave.
So let's get them all sick, so there's nobody to take care of all the other idiots out there. I mean, that's the sad part about all of this is that for once there's a team, actual home team playing in their home stadium.
Sure.
Well, according to the Sporting News, roughly 22,000, and the NFL
that stadium holds probably 60.
The NFL has invited 7,500 vaccinated healthcare workers to go to the Super Bowl for free, and on top of that, 14,500 additional fans who purchased tickets to attend. So about 22,000 people altogether, according to the Sporting News.
It's a pretty big stadium. It might be 25%. It could be 88,000. No, that's a little too big. Maybe it's a third. It's gonna be.
I would say it's probably about a third.
So, no.
30%, 35%.
Yeah, something like that. But
yeah, so 14,500 fans and then 7,500 healthcare workers.
Well, good for them. That's
good. And they're getting in for free.
Good.
Yeah.
They should be getting a lot of other things for free as well.
So.
But it'll be interesting. I hear the commercial ads are going to be a little different this year.
Yeah,
there's not so much money being spent on commercials.
No, there's not. Budweiser's not doing any commercials.
It's just going to be one long retirement speech.
Coke and Pepsi, I believe, aren't doing any yet. I've seen a couple of them. I've seen a couple of commercials. I actually saw one. Sam Adams actually has a funny one, but it's well, I should have said it. There's Clydesdales are going to be in a commercial, but it's not going to be from Budweiser.
Right.
It's not going to be a hard seltzer commercial.
No, it's Sam Adams involved. You'll see it.
Oh, all right.
You can actually Google it. It's online. You can actually see it now. But it's your cousin from Boston.
I don't know. The commercials really been hit or miss the last couple of years. I feel like
they haven't been what they used to be.
There's been a few. It could be a lot of nostalgia, I guess, but I don't know. I've been less drunk as the years progress.
That's true. Myself included. That might be a reason they haven't been as good as they used to be.
Yeah, maybe they're just as good. Maybe just as mediocre.
Try getting Shift Days, see if you like them.
Yeah, and years past. Such a great commercial.
That's great.
I gotta remember that. What was that for?
I never watch them. I think the last commercial I remember is GoDaddy.
Yeah. I just want to put this out there for anybody listening to the audio podcast that cannot see what I'm wearing. I'm rooting for Kansas City in the Super Bowl. So I'd be I'm picking. He's wearing
a leather vest.
I'm wearing a leather Kansas City vest that says Len Dawson on the back.
With Andy Reid's pasties.
Kind of reminds me of the leather, Billy Idol gear from Dancing with
That's right. A leather helmet.
I have a Tony Gonzalez mask on.
A leather helmet, and he's wearing Len Dawson's underwear.
And he looks like Bane, folks.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Pretty much. So,
so there we go. 2 for Kansas City and 1 for Tampa Bay.
Let's hope you're right. I mean,
What's the coin picking?
Oh, you're right. Let's flip the old coin. So
the old coin.
Heads will be Tampa, huh?
The home team heads will be Tampa. And it is heads.
Heads.
Wow.
Coins going with Tampa Bay.
Now, coin.
I got a question though. Is Tampa the home team? I know it's their home stadium, but are they the home team?
What does that matter?
Oh, I don't know. How do they decide that?
I'm not really sure. I remember.
I think it's whoever got the highest points in skee ball during Pro Bowl weekend.
Did anybody watch anything having to do with Pro Bowl?
No.
Celebration?
I couldn't even tell
the last time I watched the Pro Bowl, Rolf Benerschke was kicking.
There you go. He's got to bring Ralph Bernierski up again.
Oh,
I think he won that game for them.
He did. Who knows if he was ever even in a Pro Bowl? But I think Dan Marie. They still had the punt, kick, and pass competition.
Didn't Andy Reid win it that year?
The Pro Bowl, yeah, he won the Pro Bowl.
No, the punt, pass, and kick competition.
That's right. He won the dunk.
Yes, the Bucks are the home team.
Yes,
Bucks are the home team. Well, that makes sense.
The home team. There you go.
It's their stadium, so.
Well, there you go. Well, like I said, it just happens to be their home stadium. But
I think in other Super Bowls, there's not a home team.
There's always a home team.
Why?
Yeah.
It's not baseball. You flip for the kickoff. Why does it matter?
I don't know why it matters, or if it matters, or should it matter, or what the route is. But there's always a home team and always an away team.
I don't believe you. I think it's just so you know which uniforms to wear.
That's probably
speaking of uniforms. I'm glad you brought that up. I mentioned uniforms, rather. Did you guys read that there were a lot of people who wanted Tampa Bay? They wanted to see the creamsicle uniforms.
Oh, yes. I would love to see the old school.
Yes.
But they are not allowed to wear them.
Why?
Well, that's not true. They could wear them, but they're not allowed to wear a different helmet.
They'd have to wear the old
They
helmet.
would have to wear the pewter
it's a throwback.
helmet.
Really? They'd have to wear the pewter helmet.
They're not allowed to change their helmets. So they can wear whatever uniform they want, but they would have to wear the pewter helmets. And anyone knows pewter, big time clash with creamsicle.
Absolutely.
So that is a rule that needs to be changed.
Well, I don't know why Tampa Bay would ever change. Those old school original Tampa Bay uniforms were the best.
What I've actually seen them talking about is the creamsicle uniforms, but a white helmet with the current Buccaneer flag.
No one wears white after Labor Day.
Yeah.
Well, technically it's now
before it.
It's well before.
It's a little too far before. But yeah, that's what I read. They're not allowed to change the helmets. Which is a shame. Which is really a shame. That's something that should be brought up in the owners' meeting. So
this isn't for now. This is period at all. They can't do that.
This is the rule.
They always have to wear the same helmet no matter what uniform they're wearing.
Kansas City should wear the same uniform they've had for 75 years.
There you go.
I don't think Kansas City's uniform has ever changed.
I don't think they've ever changed it. They've probably changed the font for the numbers.
Maybe, yeah, you're
very briefly, but it's not
on the helmets. It's still an arrowhead on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
still an arrowhead on the side of the helmet.
Still an arrowhead on the side. Yeah,
they probably made that a little spiffier.
I think it's a little different, minor.
Are they going to be forced to change their name?
I don't. Well, no, because Chiefs really isn't a derogatory term, is it? I mean, it's
it's not. It's not exclusive to Native Americans.
Sure, absolutely. I mean,
it's a military term. People are.
I mean, the Cleveland is the Cleveland Indians derogatory?
I don't think it is, and that's why I was shocked that they were actually doing that. I mean,
they're not from India.
Well, I get it. I'm just saying.
Columbus was looking for India.
I think somebody
looked at here. He thought he found India, and he saw the people, and he called them Indians.
I think somebody will find Chiefs.
That Indians, American Indians, has nothing to do with anyone from India.
Some guy's going to find Chiefs.
I think it's only a matter of time.
Somebody's
going to. One person will, so everything will change because of one.
I mean, to me, the sports team that is the most offensive to me is the fact that Utah is still called the Jazz.
Absolutely,
that offends.
I'm completely offended.
That offends every Jazz musician.
New Orleans was a perfect name for the Jazz.
There's not a more ironic sports team's name.
The Utah.
Are you saying there is not a vibrant jazz scene in Utah?
I don't believe so.
Well,
you were closer to Utah than either RadioPete or
only until like 8:30 at night, and then they roll up the sidewalks and shut off the lights. And
there's not a lot of people, playing John Coltrane in Salt Lake City.
Have you never been to the Provo Jazz Festival?
I have. Actually, there's a great punk scene in Logan, Utah.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're in Salt Lake's a pretty good music town.
So they could be the Utah punks.
And I'm not saying there isn't jazz in Utah, but when ranked as major cities with the biggest influence on American jazz music, Salt Lake comes, pretty low, right? They're just ahead of Boise. And
Billings
and Tacoma
and Helena.
Yes. I said major cities.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's a capital. I mean,
well, Trenton's the capital in New
Fargo.
Jersey.
So is Sacramento.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fargo Jazz.
Fargo Jazz. They're moving there next. That's great.
That would be.
People in Fargo don't even know what basketball is.
Or jazz.
Or jazz.
They'd be screwed up on several different levels.
It's that funny music, eh?
Yeah. Oh, you betcha.
Yeah, jazz. I heard of that, where they have all the notes in it.
Oh, you betcha.
That's possible. That'd be great. All right. Well, why don't we? On that note, why don't we get to our top 10 since we're still talking Super Bowl.
Top 10 Fargo jazz musicians.
Top 10 Fargo, and we're blending in some Salt Lake jazz musicians.
That's right.
There you go. Number 10, John
Smith.
There you go.
Number 9, John Smith. Number 8, John R. Smith.
John R. Smith.
Number 7, James Smith.
All right, enough. There we go. No.
It's illegal.
There we go.
It's illegal to play the sousaphone in Salt Lake after 8 p.m.
on Labor Day.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Our top 10 list this week in honor of what's coming up on Sunday. Top 10 Super Bowls in NFL history. So, Mr. Radio Pete, why don't you kick us off with number 10?
I don't remember it's number 36?
36.
One of them. Yes. Somewhere between 1 and 45.
Folks, by the way, while he gets his notes together,
notes. That's
while he prepares for the podcast.
While I'm trying to figure out what the Roman numerals are.
There you
go. It's time to end the Roman numerals.
XXXVI. Okay, Patriots and Rams, right?
There you go. Yes, that would be correct.
Okay.
While he gets them together, folks, it's only fitting that our last football top 10 list, because obviously next week's will not be. Or probably won't be. But in any event, we actually did have another tie. It's number 7, though, when we get to it. So Radio Pete's going to kick us off at number 10. Go ahead. Kick us off.
Okay, number 10. A February Super Bowl in 2002. New England over the St. Louis Rams. This, of course, was kind of the start of New England's ascension and going against the greatest show on turf. The St. Louis Rams. Big time upset. Very exciting. Don't remember that much about it. I didn't find a site that has a good breakdown of all of the games, and I don't have a real breakdown of what happened with that one. Gotcha. So I'll leave it to you guys to throw out some numbers.
Well, it was
the end of the greatest show on turf and the beginning
of Patriots dynasty. Yeah,
the Patriots dynasty. There we go.
And you could tell by everybody who's not a Patriots fan that Patriots player has illegal gloves on, and that if Kurt Warner's jersey was a tearaway, then the Patriots never would have won the game.
Is that right? Is that on every site, every blog? There you go.
Yeah, it is. Everywhere.
Yeah. And of course, how can you forget Adam Vinatieri's last second, field goal to win 20-17. But I mean, it would have went to overtime if he missed it. But still, there you go. There you go, folks. Number 10, Super Bowl 36, New England beating the Rams. All right, I will take number 9. Number 9 is Super Bowl 32. Super Bowl 32. That would be Denver beating Green Bay. That was played on January 25th in 1998 in Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. It was pretty much a back and forth game. Green Bay was in it. They won the Super Bowl the last season before. Up until just after the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter, Terrell Davis ran for a touchdown to put the Broncos ahead. It was tied. Yeah, and Terrell Davis went on to win the MVP award, and that was
Terrell Davis.
MVPs. But that Super Bowl is also going to be pretty much remembered, and is pretty much remembered. That picture right there. There you go, John Elway. It's the Super Bowl that Mr. Elway got the monkey off his back. I mean, that was his fifth Super Bowl appearance fourth, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is his fourth Super Bowl appearance, and the first one he won. So there you go, number 9 Super Bowl.
Forever grateful to Terrell Davis, John Elway.
There you go, number 9 Super Bowl 32. Harry, bring us to number 8.
Number 8 was the St. Louis Rams and the Tennessee Titans, with the Rams beating the Titans 23-16. Dick Vermeil leading the Kurt Warner-led St. Louis Rams in the greatest show on turf, probably most remembered for coming up 1 yard short of Tennessee winning this game.
That picture right there.
Yeah. Tennessee, I just remember this Titans team with, Steve McNair and Eddie George. Their defense was really kept the Rams at bay. This was a team that was scoring a ton of points all year long.
Sure.
And they did put up big numbers. They just kept them out of the end zone quite a bit, but it was enough for the Rams to win. I think at the time, Kurt Warner had the most yards, something like 445 yards passing and 14 yards passing and 45 pass attempts since beaten 45 pass attempts without an interception. And a great team. I mean, this Rams team was filled with just Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk, obviously Kurt Warner, Orlando Pace, a lot of future Hall of Famers, and it literally came down to coming up 1 yard short, and it was a good Super Bowl, that's for sure.
That was definitely good. And here, this other picture, I'm going to throw it up really quick. This is obviously post-win. Why is Dick Vermeil about to make out with Kurt Warner in this?
No, if Dick Vermeil waited a long time to get to the Super Bowl.
So he wanted to plant one.
Not only was he happy to be out of Philadelphia, but he was,
that is true.
I don't think the Rams had cheerleaders that year, so I think Kurt Warner might have been the prettiest gal on the sideline.
He definitely was. That's for sure. This Super Bowl, that picture, I'll throw the first one back up. That was
was that Derek Mason?
I believe so. Yeah. Like a half a yard. He tackles him. He gets his arms around those legs, wraps him up. A second later, Tennessee wins the game because they were only down. They were only, they were down. Well, they at least tie the game. They don't necessarily win it, but it could have been a different outcome. But that was greatest show on turf.
Greatest show on turf.
So, Pete is next.
Coming.
There.
Okay, I'm back. Hang on.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry.
No worries. You had to go make a prosciutto and mozzarella sandwich.
A little mozzarella situation. I get to.
There you go.
I'm gonna leave a little bit of the shelf in the camera shot.
Yeah, why not? Shelf. What's a little shelf between friends?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Next up is
bring us to 7B, please.
7B. Or Super Bowl 43, XLIII.
That's correct.
And that was the Steelers. One of the Steelers' 15 Super Bowl wins against those upstart Arizona Cardinals.
Another Warner Super Bowl.
Yeah, this was a very exciting game. Arizona was down 20-7 in the fourth quarter and actually came back to lead 23-20 with just a little more than 2 minutes left. And the Steelers went down the field, and an absolute great, I think one of the all-time great Super Bowl plays, or at least catches by Santonio Holmes.
Oh, yeah, Santonio Holmes catch. That was great.
Toes right as close to the side of the end zone sideline as you could possibly get for the touchdown that gave Pittsburgh their 44th Super Bowl win. 45th? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
45th. And oddly enough, it was Super Bowl 43, and it was their 45th Super Bowl.
45th, yeah.
It's odd that way that worked out. But.
+2 for the Steelers in that regard. It was this was a very, very exciting game, at least a very exciting fourth quarter, because it looked, early on, it looked like Pittsburgh was dominating.
And like I said, Arizona came back to take the lead, but they couldn't hang on. And Steelers.
And then that's funny because in the
Santonio Holmes, right, caught the winning pass.
Santonio Holmes caught it, yeah. But that's oddly enough, I should say, our first 4 Super Bowls on this list: number 10, 9, 8, and 7B. Kurt Warner played in 3 of them.
Yeah.
So
he was a pretty underrated quarterback, I think.
Yeah, interesting. So there you go. 7B, Super Bowl 43. I will take 7A, that is.
7M.
7M. We have that. It's not one of those lists tonight. 7A is Super Bowl 52. Just a few years ago. And that would be them Eagles beating Tom Brady's Patriots 40.
Is there anything worse than watching the Eagles win a Super Bowl?
To 33.
I loved it.
Yeah,
of course you did.
I'm sure you did. Absolutely. 41-33. It was played on. It was played in Minnesota on February 4th. So tomorrow is the 3rd anniversary of that. If for any of you Eagles fans out there, you can celebrate your 3rd anniversary of your Super Bowl win. Nick Foles, MVP. And I've said this before too. And I say this about one of the Giants Super Bowls as well. Carson Wentz, tore his ACL, and Nick Foles comes in and takes him to the Super Bowl and wins it. Carson Wentz doesn't tear his ACL. The Eagles don't go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Foles magic.
Yeah, that definitely was a big part of it. And and of course, who can forget the Philly special? That one play that they designed and did. And it's been talked about, since then. But this was also the Super Bowl where Belichick benched
Malcolm
Jamal
Warner.
Malcolm Butler.
Malcolm Butler. Yeah, no, it's like
who should have been named Malcolm Jamal Warner.
This is where Malcolm Jamal Warner ran a kickoff back for 35 yards, giving the Eagles I think the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air played in this game, didn't he?
I think he did. I believe he did, yeah. So, but it was odd. I mean, because, you think about it. I mean, Malcolm Butler was just, he was one of those guys, one of those playmakers that had he played in the Super Bowl. It's highly likely that
Belichick doesn't fuck around, man.
He doesn't. He would rather lose the Super Bowl
on principle
than put up with any shenanigans from anybody on his team.
None of those shenanigans.
Oh, shenanigans. So, well, there you go. That would be Super Bowl 52. That's our number 7A on our list. Harry, bring us to number 6, please.
Number 6 is Super Bowl 23. Remembered for the drive and the pass and the catch. And yes, another win for those San Francisco 49ers. 49ers 20, the Cincinnati Bengals 16. This is the second time these two teams played in the Super Bowl. And obviously with the 49ers trailing 16-13, they went down the field. And of course, the famous pass to John Taylor from Joe Montana with just 34 seconds left in the game. Good. It was a tight game. This was, again, a 49ers team that was known to be for high-scoring games. And I actually think it was the 49ers defense that was really the big difference maker, especially with Charles Haley and Ronnie Lott and some of the other people on this team. It's certainly one of those memorable Super Bowls, at least for me, and certainly deserving to be on this list.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, the Bengals were winning this game. I mean, it just was, it just looked that way through most of the game that the Bengals had the edge, and they, but yeah, that touchdown pass to Taylor, it was 34 seconds left. what was Boomer Esiason going to do in 34 seconds? I mean, now teams can score like 3 times in 34 seconds.
Yeah.
But back then, it was unheard of.
Right.
So, but
not something that was done with any regularity, that's for sure.
Chris Collinsworth wasn't around anymore. This was the Icky Shuffle years, right?
No, Chris Collinsworth was still there.
He was there. He was there for both Super Bowls.
He was in both Super Bowls
with Kenny Anderson
and Boomer. Yeah,
and the Icky Shuffle. Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things about this year, which going back and reading about is that there was a bit of a quarterback. I mean, Steve Young started 3 games for the course of this season. I mean, imagine having Steve Young and Joe
Montana.
Yeah.
You know?
Was this the John Candy game?
John Candy. I don't think he played.
No, the game. I don't know if it was. I thought it was a Super Bowl. Maybe it was a championship game where. I thought it was this game maybe where the 49ers are driving and Montana comes into the huddle. And it's a very tense moment, and he points over in the stands. He goes, "Hey, look, John Candy's here at the game."
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think that was this game.
I think this was this game.
Yeah.
So you got that. You got that guy, and then you got Steve Young.
Yeah.
But no, Chris Collinsworth was played with Kenny Anderson and with Boomer Esiason. So, and Nicky Woods was obviously in this as well. But there you go, number 6.
Yeah, where's Nicky Woods these days?
He's shuffling around deli section in a ShopRite. I think the last time I saw him, I was on a commercial actually. I'm not kidding. He was actually in it, like doing a shuffle in a.
He's hosting. He's hosting Good Morning Cincinnati.
Good Morning Cincinnati.
With Billy Strahan and
with what's her name from
Marianne Ripa.
WKRP.
Marianne Ripa.
Yeah. He's hosting Good Morning Cincinnati with the remaining live members of WKRP
in Cincinnati. Yeah, Howard Hessman, Johnny Fever was definitely working there, and Venus Flytrap too.
Yeah.
Too many
references.
Too many references. There you go.
For those of you that aren't 50 or older, you can look up WKRP.
Or just willing to go back into really good television.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the best moments in a comedy was Les Nessman reporting live while they were dropping the turkeys from the helicopter.
Look up WKRP turkey drop.
That's such a funny scene. All right, folks. That's it. Number 6, Super Bowl 23. I will take. Or no, you will take. Pete will take. Number 5, please.
Number 5, also known as Super Bowl 49. Speaking of Malcolm Butler, his name comes up again, surprisingly.
Imagine that. Unbelievable.
So, this was...
there he is right there.
Yeah. I believe
intercepting the pass that should have been a handoff.
I think I had this ranked as number 1. This was, of course, the Patriots and the Seahawks. And 28-24 was the final score. What can you say? You got beast mode. You've got to get a yard or 2 or a yard and a half to get in the end zone.
He literally had a yard and a half.
And
1.5 yards.
Pete Carroll outsmarts himself and throws a pass, and it gets picked off. And the Patriots win. Yay! 14-14 at halftime, and the Seahawks were up by 10.
Yeah.
Which,
they were.
Made this really big. It was 25 seconds left in the game. And look, it was a terrible call, and it was
kind of like Green Bay with Brett Favre. They had, the Seahawks had a chance to become a dynasty, and they turned into the water chickens.
Yep. That was kind of the Russell Wilson's window, and he went 1 for 2, and hasn't been back since. So
yeah. Well, there you go.
It's just one of those baffling decisions that you think these guys know football better than me, but boy, ultimately we always say if it doesn't work out, then it was the wrong decision. If it does, no matter what we think of it, if it works out, then it was the right decision, right?
Right. Exactly.
Well, this was not the right decision.
Not the right decision. No.
Kind of a black eye and pretty good job of coaching by Pete Carroll overall in Seattle, I think you could say, but
pretty good.
Boy, this one is the one that's going to stick with him.
And PJ Wendell said, "What's up, fellas? What's up, PJ?
Hi, PJ.
What you call it? Yeah, no, that was crazy. And do you remember those commercials back then? Right around that time, Rob Lowe was doing commercials for AT&T or something like that, or DirecTV. He was doing the DirecTV commercials, and he said, "Hi, I'm Rob Lowe, and I choose DirecTV," and then it's like, and the other one was, I'm incredibly stupid, Rob Lowe, and I don't choose DirecTV, right? It was those were the commercials back then, right?
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that.
There was a meme that popped up right after. Is Rob Lowe with Pete Carroll's hair, and it says, "Hi, I'm Rob Lowe. I'm Rob Lowe, and I choose DirecTV." And underneath it says, "Hi, I'm incredibly stupid, Rob Lowe. And when I only need a yard and a half, I don't hand off to my running back. I throw the pass. I throw an interception."
Yeah,
so it was.
Especially when that running back is more so.
It's funnier to look at a meme than to explain it, but you know what I mean.
Nowadays, it's the odds of somebody throwing the ball are greater than them running it. So.
This is true. That started it all, I guess. It's just
even
what?
If you're
Brett
Favre,
throw the ball.
Even if you're Brett Favre,
that's right.
Chances of throwing it are greater than running.
Brett Favre. Well, there you go. Number
Not
5.
Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Well, there you go. You get them. Well, do you get them confused like you get Sam Bradford and Sam Darnold?
Well, I think they played for the same team for a while.
Sam Bradford and Sam Darnold.
Sam Bradford and Sam Darnold.
No, Brett Favre and Aaron
Rodgers. Yeah, I think they.
Aaron Favre and Brett Rodgers.
Brett Rodgers.
Brett Bradford Rodgers.
I mean, what
Brett Rodgers in a Western back in the day?
Probably the second best quarterback tandem behind Montana and Steve Young. Favre and Rodgers.
Phil Simms and Jeff Hostetler. You're leaving
True.
them out.
Well, you're figuring out.
And we haven't seen Rodgers Love yet.
No, we have not
seen Mark
him.
Sanchez.
I don't know if I want to see Rodgers Love. But,
I don't know what that means, but I'm not going to ask.
I think isn't that the backup quarterback?
Yes.
Julian Love. I thought you were gonna.
You guys can't do that to me when I get a name correct.
I thought
who?
I thought it was some sort of special tape you had that you were going to mute yourself and leave for a few seconds.
It was oddly enough there's a video out there. I got to find it. I'll send it to you. You can search for it. Obviously, it's preseason. I guess it maybe somewhere in there. Maybe I guess back in August. It was some guy videotaped on his phone. Aaron Rodgers sitting in the back of a pickup truck, holding a case of Bud Light.
Yeah.
Like around the corner you could see Lambeau Field in the background.
Yep.
It's just.
I was one of his offensive linemen or somebody's truck. And
something like that, yeah.
They were going home after practice, and he had a case of beer.
Case of Bud Light, yeah. That was Bud Light, yeah.
That was the disappointing thing, was it was Bud Light.
Bud Light, yeah. There's so much, Green Bay, I could tell you like 6 breweries that brew great beer right near Lambeau to go to. And he had Bud Light. So, to each his own. If he wants to drink Bud Light, drink Bud Light. There you go. Anyway, let's move on from Super Bowl number, 49?
Number 4? Are we up to number 4?
49. We're up to number 4. I'm going to do number 4. I will take it.
Number 4.
Number 4 would be Super Bowl 13. Super Bowl 13.
I remember this one, even though I wasn't born yet.
You weren't born. Yes, you weren't. You were born like about 10, 12 years after this, weren't you?
After, yeah.
After, yes. Super Bowl 13, that would be Pittsburgh besting Dallas 35-31. Folks, this Super Bowl was played on January 21st, 1979 in the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. Terry Bradshaw won the MVP. It was his first of 2 MVPs back-to-back. Obviously, the following year he won it as well. This was a pretty hard-nosed Super Bowl. Pittsburgh pulled out the victory, but Steelers they took a 21-17 lead into the fourth quarter and then scored 14 unanswered points. And Dallas came back. They scored a touchdown, recovered an onside kick, and then scored another touchdown, and would just come back within 4 with just 22 seconds remaining. But they attempted a second onside kick and obviously did not get that. But hey, kudos to them for doing what they did to come back. But yeah, this was a pretty tough Super Bowl and Pittsburgh's 3rd Super Bowl win in 5 years. Third win in 5 wins, 5 years.
Yeah, both these teams were looking to win their 3rd.
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
Great Super Bowl.
Franchise.
Yeah, you go through the rosters of both teams and just Hall of Famers everywhere.
There's a lot of firsts in this game too. It was the very first Super Bowl rematch ever, and it was the first time a defending champion lost the title game because Dallas had beaten the Broncos the year before in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they were the defending champions.
They were defending champions, and they lost. The first time a defending champion lost in the Super Bowl, and it was also the first time the losing participant scored 30 points or more than 30 points.
That's it.
So,
dubious honor at best. Yeah, I think it was 35-17 with about 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, there you go.
4 minutes ago, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So an even more furious comeback than I thought.
Yeah.
And
they scored a touchdown. Onside kick, scored another touchdown, another onside kick. It was just,
Listen, Pittsburgh has, generally had Dallas's number in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
generally speaking.
Why am I hearing music in my headphones?
It's my son's practicing his trombone.
Oh, okay.
It's trombone. You've heard that before.
Yes, I have. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just the normal trombone sounds in my head.
that emanate deep inside your mind.
Right.
There you go. Well, there you go. Number 4 on our list, Super Bowl 13. Pittsburgh 35, Dallas 31. Harry, bring us to number 3, would you?
Number 3 is Super Bowl 25. Might be number 3 on our list, but it's number 1 in my heart.
There you go.
It's your New York Giants 20, the Buffalo Bills 19. The no-huddle, high-powered offense of the Buffalo Bills were favored by a lot in this game. The Giants actually got to this game with a backup quarterback, Jeff Hostetler, backup running back, Otis Anderson, with some really big upset wins against the 49ers and the Bears to get into the Super Bowl. And the Bills were just running on all cylinders. Both teams were 13-3 in the regular season.
Yep.
And this was, it doesn't get any closer than this one. It came down to a last-second field goal attempt that is world famous now. Even movies have been made about it. Poor Scott Norwood, and when his kick went wide right. But this was one of those games that I think was the coming out party for Bill Belichick, because his defensive scheme in this game is legendary. And what the Giants basically did is said, hey, we're going to have 2 down linemen on defense. You can pass the ball all you want. We're going to bend but not break. And had Marv Levy started to run the ball with Thurman Thomas a minute earlier, I think this game would have been very different. I just think Parcells and Belichick totally outcoached Levy, who was a great coach in his own right. I mean, this Giants defense stopped an offense that had Jim Kelly and James Lofton and Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas. It was kind of a last hurrah for Lawrence Taylor and Carl Banks. The Giants defensive stars such as Gary Reasons and Pepper Johnson, Eric Howard were really starting to make a name for themselves. And you have to just give it up for the Giants' offensive line, their defensive play, and a really gutsy performance by both Otis Anderson and Jeff Hostetler. Yeah. Hostetler had a great game. I mean, and the Giants just controlled the ball. They didn't turn it over. They ran it as much as they possibly could, and they played on a team that is, I think, one of the top 3 or 4 defenses of all time. This might have been the best game they ever played collectively as a team. And it was an ugly Super Bowl. It's an ugly Giants team. They were not going to win with any sort of pretty football, but this was old school knock 'em sock 'em football. And I think the other than Norwood's kick going wide right, I think Otis Anderson's forearm shivers, probably legendary. But look, great win for the Giants, and it was kind of a curtain call for both Parcells and Belichick. And a lot of Lawrence Taylor got to win his second Super Bowl, and it was really kind of the end of the Giants' realm. And it was a game that was the beginning of another 3 Super Bowl appearances for the Bills, in which they lost all of them.
Yeah, and I said it before too. There was a couple of things. Hostetler, in the beginning of the game, Bruce Smith sacked Jeff Hostetler in the end zone for a safety.
Right.
And if you look at that play closely, if you watch film and you look at that play closely, Bruce Smith was going for the ball. And
it was amazing. Hostetler held on.
Hostetler grabbed it and he pulled it in. If that saved the game right there. He doesn't do that. It's not a safety. It's a touchdown, and that's it. Right. The game's and obviously whatever happens after that. But yeah, it just ball control, and then a couple of other things that I recall from that. For the third and longs, that one particular drive in the third quarter. That first drive coming out, the Giants got the ball to start the second half. and they basically ran it down. I think it was only like 4 minutes and something left on the clock after that drive for a touchdown, and it was crazy. But Mark Ingram caught a couple of passes, and that one that he had to go 13 yards, and he was getting hit 2 yards into that reception, and it was that screen pass. And he just broke tackle after tackle after tackle. And at the end, he had a guy hanging off his leg, and he hopped, put that guy on his leg for like 2 or 3 yards, and got that extra yardage.
Yeah.
But that was what I was referring to before, with the whole Nick Foles and Carson Wentz doesn't get hurt, and Nick Foles comes in. Philly doesn't win that Super Bowl. As much as I like Phil Simms as a quarterback, and I thought he was a really good quarterback for the Giants. Phil Simms doesn't get hurt ironically, in the Buffalo game in the regular season. Phil Simms doesn't get hurt, and Jeff Hostetler doesn't play in that Super Bowl. The Giants don't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Hostetler was the right guy at the right time. He had a hell of a playoff run in the last games of the season too. He was just tough. His mobility was able to overcome some of the Giants' shortcomings on offense. Look, Jeff Hostetler threw for 222 yards. He threw for 10 more yards than Jim Kelly. He went 20 for 32 with 222 yards and a touchdown. Jim Kelly, who at the time was probably arguably the best quarterback and the MVP of the league that year, went 18 for 30, 212 yards, no touchdowns. Neither quarterback threw an interception. The Giants' defense they did a defensive scheme that the Bills could not, for the first 3.5 quarters, figure out what to do with.
Let me give you Thurman Thomas's stats from the 1990 season. Mm-hmm. 16 games, 271 carries, 1,297 yards, 11 touchdowns. He had 49 receptions for 532 yards and 2 scores. So 1,829 yards from scrimmage on 320 touches, averaged 5.7 yards per touch.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not gonna give him the ball.
Don't give him the
ball. Thurman Thomas had an amazing game.
He really did.
But he only carried the ball 15 times. He averaged 9 yards a carry.
He did.
Right.
9 yards a carry in the Super Bowl.
There was talk, and this will prove interesting in a few minutes when we get to our next segment. But there was talk of from a lot of people that said you could actually almost give the MVP award to Thurman Thomas in a losing effort.
Wow.
That's how well he played in that game, and he had like Harry, like you said earlier, had Marv Levy gone to him a little earlier, he would have had an even better game.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm guessing of those 15 carries, 12 of them were in the fourth quarter.
15 carries, 135 yards, and 5 catches for 55 yards.
Yeah.
So averaging 11 yards per catch and 9 yards per rush. I again, just doesn't have a breakdown of when they came in the game. But yeah, I would think most of them came in that fourth quarter. So yeah, a baffling decision not to use him earlier and more often.
Couple of interesting stats from that season too. The Giants, in case you remember, were not this has anything to do with the Super Bowl, or maybe it does. The Giants were actually 10-0 at one point in the season, and so was San Francisco, who were the defending champions, and they both lost their 11th game, so they were 10-1 and facing each other on a Monday night game in early December. And they were billing it. The papers were billing it as
Super Bowl preview.
Super Bowl 24.5. They were billing it as.
Well, it couldn't be a Super Bowl preview.
It couldn't be a Super Bowl. It was MVP.
Oh yeah,
it wound up being an NFC championship game.
Game, yeah.
But yeah, that was crazy. And with all that power, the final score of that game was 7-3.
This was this Giants defense. The defense in 86, 87, they were good. Yeah. This Giants defense, I think, was the best Giants defense the Giants have ever had. They were deep, and they had the old school guys. Of course, Carson was gone, but they had Banks and they had Taylor. But you talk about, Gary Reasons had one of the best seasons I've ever seen a linebacker have. playing in the shadows. I mean, Taylor showed up for this, but there was the Giants secondary. Look, they made a big acquisition in the offseason to get Everson Walls. Yep. He had the defensive scheme that they had. They not only played a nickel defense, they played a dime and a half defense, and they just said, "Look, we're gonna flood. We're gonna have 2 down linemen, Pepper Johnson, and a bunch of defensive backs, and try to beat us."
Yeah,
and I don't know why it took Marv Lee to say, "Well, if I hand it off to Thurman Thomas, there's nobody to stop him." I mean, I think they went 63 yards in like 35 seconds in the fourth quarter when they started handing the ball off to Thurman Thomas.
Sure,
but it was a brilliant plan, and there was the Giants got luck on their side in this game. Yeah. You mentioned the Hostetler safety with that, which could have been.
Instead of
trouble.
2 points, could have been 7 points.
And the Giants certainly made some mistakes in this game. Their Giants special teams wasn't fantastic, but they scored when they needed to and came up big when they needed to. And I just remember waiting for that kick to happen.
It seemed
because
like
I think there was a timeout and they went to commercials.
There was a timeout and they went to commercial, and
which you never see anymore.
Nope.
And all of a sudden they come back and you're I remember just pacing and pacing and waiting. It felt like 4 hours.
I think it was.
And you just were just kind of wishing the ball would not go through the uprights.
Exactly.
And what was it, a 46-yard?
47-yard field.
47, which is not a chip shot by any means.
No.
But
he didn't miss an easy one.
And I was actually at a friend's house in Jersey for this game.
Yeah.
How about that?
So was that?
I was in a...
I think we all were.
No, I was actually in Vermont skiing. I was watching the game. I skied earlier that day. But,
what kind of fan are you?
I watched the game. I skied during the day, and then I watched the game.
He had a television on a snowboard.
I watched the game.
I watched the damn game. Not to belabor this Super Bowl 25.
Well,
talk,
let's talk a little bit more about this.
That one thing I just want to mention, and you talk about how good that team was, especially the defense and everything else. But just I'm gonna throw some names out at you, coaching staff wise. On for the Giants that year. Bill Parcells, obviously. Bill Belichick. Romeo Crennel. Al Groh. Charlie Weiss. Tom Coughlin.
Al Groh doesn't belong on that list.
Yeah, I know. Well, he was the linebackers coach. Tom Coughlin.
I could have coached those linebackers.
Guys, kill.
Yeah, I think Banks and Taylor were coaching Al Groh instead. But no, Tom Coughlin was the wide receivers coach. Ron Earhart, offense coordinator. This was just an amazing. This is the top of that Parcells coaching tree. Just the names on the list. Just you know what? There's a lot of good names on the list. Anyway.
Yeah, Al Groh coaching the linebackers was kind of like in the Avengers.
Kind of like Al Groh coaching the Jets.
When Captain America is giving out the work assignments, when the alien army is invading, he's like, you go up on the roof and take down those airships. You get over there and keep them from attacking our flank. And Hulk, giant linebackers, smash. That's all you had to say to him.
That's all you had to say.
That's right.
And we know how you feel about Al Groh. I know. So,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, watch the film Buffalo 66, too. It's a pretty good indie film that has something to do with this game in this strange way. I actually think this was the best Giants offensive line in the history of the team.
Yeah, they had good offensive lines in
the 86,
07.
The 86 team was good too. Yeah, 86, obviously, but Jumbo Elliott, William Roberts, Bart Oates, Eric Moore, and Doug Reisenberg. This was a hell of an offensive line.
Hell of an offensive line. Crazy. They were a brick wall.
Brick wall.
Man. All right, number 3. Half an hour later, Super Bowl 25.
Well, again, we have to,
we have to. Well, with these top 3, we have to talk a little bit more in depth about them. So, Super Bowl 25, Giants 20, Buffalo 19. Radio Pete, bring us to number 2.
Number 2, also known as number 3, as in Super Bowl 3, and that was, of course, the Jets beating the heavily favored Colts. Talk about a spread. How much was the Colts favored by? Do you guys remember?
4?
16?
18.
18.
18. That was crazy.
Yeah, this was look, the AFL and the NFL had officially merged a couple of years before, but the AFL was really not respected. They had gotten destroyed in the first couple of Super Bowls, rightfully so. Yeah, and then Joe Namath and the Jets came along, and Baltimore. Look, they were 13-1, and they had Johnny U, although he was not the Johnny U of years of old, but still, they were the team to beat, and so therefore the 18-point favorites. And Namath made his guarantee, and the Jets came out and held the Colts scoreless till the fourth quarter, and ended up with a 16-7 win, which kind of gave the AFL some legitimacy, actually, as far as being no longer the redheaded stepchildren to their previously, NFL big brothers. Sure. And it was kind of a turning point in the history of the league.
It was
and of course, the Jets' greatest moment, and kind of you could say their only moment.
Well, until they get to Sean Watson.
There you go. Well, hey, it was all about the guarantee, right?
Yeah,
it was all the showmanship. I mean, it was also one of the first sort of celebrity sports figures, with TV sort of becoming much more of a dominant force in our life. And he was just in New York at the time. Obviously New York had much more media around it, much more coverage in the newspapers. Sure. He was Broadway Joe. Mm-hmm. And he made a declaration that people didn't think he could live up to, and he did.
Yeah, and he didn't have a great game. He was
no, he wasn't a great quarterback.
No, his if you look at his numbers, they're not 17 for 28 for 206 yards.
It was the running back, Tucker Fredrickson, and what's his name, who did the bulk of the damage. But yeah,
he didn't throw a touchdown pass, and didn't throw a pass in the fourth quarter. Yeah. So but he was Broadway Joe, and he made the guarantee, and it stood, and so he's.
It wasn't an exciting game from what because I've watched documentaries on it and things like that. It was just the fact that the Jets pulled it off, and again, defense won the day, and they kept the ball out of Unitas's hands. That's what they did. They kept the ball out of the Colts' hands, and it goes down as probably one of the greatest, maybe the greatest football moment in New York sports history. Sure. And certainly one of the top 3 or 4 moments in New York sports history, I think.
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, that you talk about that being a great moment in New York sports. So January of that year, this happens. The Jets win the Super Bowl. The heavy underdog Jets.
And New York played Baltimore in all the championships that year.
Yeah, and then in October, the Mets beat the Orioles, and 4 games to 1.
And then
it wasn't even didn't come to game 6 or 7. 4 games to 1.
And then
and then the Knicks.
The Knicks beat the Bullets.
Yep.
Yeah. And listen, if you want to talk about backup quarterbacks. Unitas came in late in that game, but Earl Morrall was the starter for Baltimore that season.
Yeah.
Unitas was hurt in the preseason, I think.
Some people say maybe he shouldn't have played.
Yeah, he didn't. Listen, I think it was a move made out of desperation. But I mean, Morrall came in and had a 13-1, and again going into the Super Bowl, albeit again against those AFL Jets, but still, I mean that's a season for the ages as far as being a backup goes.
Sure.
Yeah,
but he didn't come up with the Super Bowl win though.
No.
Right. And I think, we talk a lot about and it didn't make our list, which was surprising, but we talk about maybe it is, maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but as far as upsets go, I still think this is the biggest upset. Yes, the Colts weren't undefeated, but
they were so dominant that season.
Yeah, they were
very,
and like you said, it was
look, Baltimore.
It was like when the NBA when the NBA played the ABA. It would have been the equivalent of it was like when the Dr. J with the Nets. I mean, it was
right.
It was a good time for sports. Sports was starting to really become a dominant fixture in mixing celebrity and athletes for the first time.
Sure.
And that's really, I mean, Joe Namath's guarantee is really what this game is remembered for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Look, the Jets were 11-3. They beat Oakland in the AFL championship game, 27-23. Colts were 13-1, and they shut down Cleveland 34-0 in the NFL championship game. So,
sure.
They were such a heavy favorite. I think you'd be hard pressed to find, a bigger upset.
And those of you out there that are wondering why the Colts were playing the Jets in the Super Bowl, the Colts actually used to be not just in Baltimore, but in the NFC. They went over to the AFC after the merger. Well, after that, and for that matter, as RadioPete just mentioned, the Browns too were in the NFL or NFC for that matter.
Yep.
But I digress.
Different times. Yeah,
different times. And
a heck of an upset.
A heck of an upset. So
yeah, and I think the weirdest thing in this game is that Namath was named MVP without throwing or scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
look, you could have given
MVP because he guaranteed the win and then they won.
Yeah, right, and he was the guy that everybody knew. Jim Turner kicked 3 field goals. Matt Snell was the other running back, and I think he scored a touchdown. But
Emerson Boozer and
Emerson Boozer, who lives down the street from me.
Sure.
I've yet to talk to him and get him on the show, but I'm
working
working on
together,
it.
Don't you? You got to get him on the show.
I've driven by his house a number of times.
So.
I'm laying the groundwork.
Get it going. We'll work it.
I mean, Matt Snell did have an incredible game. I mean, carried it 30 times, 121 yards rushing and a TD, and his longest run was only 12 yards. So, I mean, talk about just grinding it out.
Total grind it out.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see what the time of possession was for this game.
Yeah, Emerson Boozer had 10 carries for 19 yards, under 2 yards a carry. I mean, it was just.
I think they just kept Baltimore off the field.
Yeah,
pretty much. So.
Yeah, and Morrell did. Earl Morrell did play in this game. He threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, Unitas came in late in the game,
right?
When it was, I wouldn't say it was. It was pretty much over, and
well,
I think he went like 3 and out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Unitas was 11 for 24. He had more completions and more yards than Morrell. Yeah, I mean, he also threw an interception. So that was
defense wins.
Don Shula just wanted to, try and salvage what he could. It wasn't they weren't like they were getting blown out. So
right, yeah. I mean, it wasn't completely out of reach, but
right. So, well, there you go. Number 2 on our list, Super Bowl number 3. New York Jets 16, Baltimore Colts 7. I will take number 1. Number 1 on our list is none other than Super Bowl 42. New York Giants 17, New England Patriots 14. This is New England's first Super Bowl loss. I'll use that picture there.
Get free, Eli. Get free. Come on. Get out of there.
You can do it, Eli.
Come on.
This was 13 years ago 13 years ago today. February 3rd, 2008, played at the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. The Patriots were favored by 12 points in this game. They were undefeated. They were going to do they were going to upset Miami, the 72 Miami Dolphins, and become the second team to go undefeated with more wins, because obviously
they would have been 19 and 0.
They would have been 19 and 0 as opposed to what was it, 17 and 0? I guess Miami went because there was 14 regular season games. Right. So Giants just the defense is all you gotta say.
They pressured Brady, something fierce.
Unbelievable. Just put so much pressure on Tom Brady. I mean, he was on his ass so many times, between the hurries and the sacks. It was 5 sacks, I think.
This is the best Giants defensive line they've ever had.
Absolutely. Great defensive line. I mean, they held Randy Moss, who the Patriots brought in. Hey, you know what? Air attack. We're finally gonna give Brady a weapon. Let's bring in Randy Moss. They held him to 62 yards.
And that was part of the reason why they were undefeated going into it, is that Brady and Moss literally connected really well that year.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, it was just, Eli Manning, of course, but, a lot of things that he did in the game, but right here specifically, like this play right here in this picture where he's getting tugged at. And I mean, he was sacked, 4 or 5 times on this play, and he somehow got out of it and throws the ball about 180 yards downfield to David Tyree. And this happens. He catches the ball on his helmet, and held on to it. And, in retrospect, he was getting mauled. So even if he didn't catch this ball, it really should have been pass interference anyway. So they would have had the ball first down there anyway.
It wouldn't be a podcast without John complaining about the officiating.
Well, no, they didn't need that. They didn't need to throw a flag. He caught the ball.
That's right.
I'm just saying. But
so they should have thrown the flag regardless.
They should have thrown the flag regardless, absolutely. But yeah, no, he caught it, and I remember going to the celebration at the rally they had at Giant Stadium. That has this pre-MetLife. The rally had a Giant Stadium for the team after the ticker tape parade in New York, and David Tyree walked in with a football stuck to his hat.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like the one play David Tyree had in his career with the Giants.
Right. And it didn't score a touchdown. It was like, 3 plays later, Plaxico Burress catches
wide open, beautiful
wide
pass.
Wide
it
open.
Just seemed
beautiful
like it took 20
pass.
minutes for that pass to come down.
It was forever, but boom, caught it right there in back corner of the end zone. Beautiful, well executed in there. I mean, this game was defensive all the way. I mean, it was the Giants were, after the first quarter, the Giants were winning 3-0. And then after the second quarter, New England was winning 7-3. Nobody scored in the third quarter. It was 7-3 New England going into the fourth quarter. There was 21 points scored in the fourth quarter. Giants scored 2 touchdowns, and New England only scored 1. But yeah, this was definitely an upset. Obviously, ruined the perfect season for the Pats. Gave Tom Brady his first Super Bowl loss. His second to come 4 years later. Yeah, there you go. That's crazy game that year.
Yeah,
I had mixed feelings about this game because
I bet you do.
I hated both teams, but the Patriots had the
edge of your hatred.
Well, they had the added bonus of if they won, they would shut those damn Dolphins up.
Right.
And of course, the Dolphins were in my youth more of a
Did you say youth?
Youth.
You say
Ute. More of when I was a Ute, they were more of a formidable foe for the Jets and the Patriots. Where
sure.
During the Patriots sucky times.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know who I wanted to win this game.
Right.
I did.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you guys.
I kind of knew who I was rooting for.
And look, I think I'm a bit of a Patriots fan over the years because of Belichick and Brady. I mean, I really thought the Giants were going to get lolly-lipped. I really did. It's just
if the Giants
as this game went on and on and on, I was just like, they're going to do this. I can't believe they're actually going to do this.
If they'd lost those 2 Super Bowls, you wouldn't be such a Patriots fan.
Probably not. Probably not. But yeah.
No, I mean, if the Giants lost, no, I still would have.
There's no denying the Patriots' greatness, but
yeah.
But on a side note, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were the halftime show.
Finally, someone good.
There you go. Had to mention
that was Nipplegate, right?
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And to be honest with you,
nobody's ever seen Tom Petty's nipple.
Show his nipple. I don't think anyone would care.
The that Super Bowl almost made our top 10 list because of Janet Jackson's nipple. But yeah, there you go. That was another Patriots win. That was the Patriots over the Panthers, right? Yeah.
Which I actually considered putting on this list, but
that was a good game too. The Patriots always seem to make it close.
Yeah, that was their second win. They won in.
Didn't that come down to a last second stop too?
I think so. What's the biggest margin the Patriots have ever won a Super Bowl by?
I think 4 points. Right? Isn't it?
Didn't they win one by 10 points or 2 touchdowns or something? Right?
Maybe. I thought it was 4.
Yeah, a lot of them have been close. They haven't had any.
I'm sure somebody can look that up.
They haven't played Denver.
No,
so they haven't played Buffalo. Two teams that are known for getting blown out in the Super Bowl.
Man, well, they couldn't play them either. So
yeah,
so blow them out in the AFC Championship.
So there you go. So now they have to play.
There you have it. So,
so they won 13-3. So that's 34 to 28, 28 to 24, 24 to 21, 32 to 29, and 20 to 17. So 3.
So 10 points was the most.
4, 3, 4, and then 10.
So 6 Super Bowls by a total of
20
points.
20 points. It's ridiculous.
And everybody's saying, well, you know what? I mean, the Chiefs are just barely winning, right? Well, I mean, the Pats barely won every Super Bowl they played in. So
true. And that the one that they won by 10, the one that they won by 10 was none other than Mr. Jared Goff at quarterback. So.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, I did forget about that. They did blow out the pretty much.
He did suck it up at that Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was not a good offensive performance.
That might have been the start of his decline. That's when he expired.
It was one of the actual Super Bowls that I watched in Boston, and was quietly rooting for the Rams. But I will tell you though, there was police out. They were congregating, and nothing really happened bad or whatever. But they not locked down, but they were all out and about in force in the city. They called everybody back, and they just walked around just to make sure. It was an odd scene. The celebration was fine with all the Pats fans after the Super Bowl, but just to see all that the cop police officer presence in the city after that. But
maybe they could have had some of them at the Capitol a couple of weeks back.
There you go.
Would have been nice.
Anyway,
all right, there you go. Top 10.
There you go. That was our number one on our list. Super Bowl.
Number one on our list and number 2 in our heart.
Number 2 in our hearts. Super Bowl 42. New York Giants 17. New England Patriots 14. All right, that's going to bring us to Old Balls.
Old Balls.
Harry, why don't you tell us who this week's Old Balls is?
Well, in the spirit of Super Bowls, I had to pick somebody who's done something that no one else has ever done. Mm-hmm. And that is Mr. Chuck Howley, who actually won the MVP of Super Bowl V on a losing team, playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Chuck Howley was a linebacker who I think had 2 interceptions in that game, had a hell of a game, but is the only at the time he was the first defensive player to win an MVP. Mm-hmm. And he is still to this day the only player on a losing team to receive the MVP award. And at the time, he was also the first non-quarterback to receive the award. Of course, it was only the 5th Super Bowl, but he was a two-way player in college. Played guard and center and defensive line and then linebacker. Was kind of he is the only athlete in school history to letter in 5 sports, and football, track, wrestling, gymnastics, and swimming. And he won the Southern Conference 1-meter diving championship. So he was a pretty incredible athlete. Started his career with the Chicago Bears and then wound up the rest of his 14 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys. And, he was a 5-time Pro Bowler, MVP of the Super Bowl. It was really the anchor of that Dallas Cowboys defense. And he tops a lot of people's lists, or in the top 3 or 4 of people who should be in the Hall of Fame that are not. He had 25 interceptions and 2 touchdowns over the course of his career. He's in the Dallas Cowboy Ring of Honor, and he was part of Sports Illustrated 1960s All-Decade team. He was 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion the next year in Super Bowl VI when Dallas won, and a Super Bowl MVP in the game that they lost. So it's kind of an interesting story, and something that I think even if somebody did perform to this level today, I'm not sure it'll ever happen again, unless somebody just does something that's so extraordinary that it overshadows, the play of people on the winning team. I don't think we're going to see somebody on a losing team win an MVP, but there he is, Mr. Chuck Howley. This week's recipient of Old Balls.
Old balls.
There you go. And we mentioned it before too. Like Thurman Thomas in Super Bowl 25 could have been
Right.
the second player to win that. But you mentioned before he played at a garden center. Did you say?
A guard. He played guard and center.
Oh, I thought you said he played in a garden center.
He played at a garden center. He was in charge of the sod and perennials.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I just wanted to verify that with you. But no, this was.
He might have played at a garden center. I mean, that's kind of personal.
I know. But these were Super Bowls that were. I mean, they just it was the beginning of all of this, right? It was this was Super Bowl 5. He won. The Colts again, back to the Baltimore Colts. They won Super Bowl, second one they were in, and but the other team's defensive player gets the MVP award. It had to be really odd.
Well, he was the next year Dallas won 24-3. So I mean, they held Miami to 3 points.
Yeah.
I mean, they of course, you look at those Dallas teams from back then. I mean, this is the same Miami team that had Larry Zonka and Bob Greasy and Larry Little and Paul Warfield and all of them. But this Dallas team with Staubach and some of the others who are, go without saying, pretty incredible. Yeah, pretty Incredible.
They they were really really good. Those games back then were it just seems to me, obviously, because back then those Super Bowls, watching them, when you're a kid. I
don't remember the 72.
I don't remember the 72. I'm referring to Super Bowls in the 70s.
Yeah,
I don't remember
the later years.
Yeah. But yeah, even though, and then reading up again, I remember when I was probably, I think it was Super Bowl 11, I guess it was, when the Raiders beat who the Raiders play in Super Bowl 8.
The Raiders.
The Vikings. The
Vikings,
yeah. McDonald's had with the kids meals, they actually had Super Bowl books and guides or whatever, and there was 3 different ones or whatever, just covering the 11 Super Bowls there were at that point.
Right.
And which I remember getting them and just like reading through them and looking at all of them, and then it's not like I had the internet back then to go and watch game film or anything like that. There was whatever clips they showed on TV, and then you watch them every year. But it just seemed
you're talking the Dolphins in Super Bowl 8, right? Beating the Vikings.
So I meant Super Bowl 11.
11. Okay.
11. Yeah. Super Bowl 11 was Oakland over the Vikings. The Vikings played in 4 Super Bowls in the 70s.
Oh yeah, they were always there,
and they lost all
always 4. A bridesmaid.
Yeah.
Well, that Raiders team is so the Raiders have won 2 Super Bowls.
Raiders have won 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, Raiders
They've
won
only
77 and 84.
They've only been.
They've been in 3. They lost to the Buccaneers in 03.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Chucky.
Yeah.
Chucky beat Chucky.
How ironic is that? The man that created the game plan for the Raiders beats them with the other teams. So, pretty interesting. But yeah, they're just looking back over Super Bowl history and just looking at the games that were played and the teams that played in them and everything else. It's just fun to look at. And,
that was the Ken Stabler years, right?
Yeah.
God, that guy. Supposedly his autobiography. We maybe need to have an entire show dedicated to Ken Stabler. I heard his autobiography is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, they're a lot. Yeah, they're in those 4 Pittsburgh Super Bowl wins. In between, right in the middle of all 4 of them, the Raiders won one, and Raiders beat the Vikings, and the Cowboys beat the Broncos, and then the Steelers come back and win another 2. So, yeah, it was the golden age of the tough, gritty Super Bowl NFL days, So, anyway, that I'm not sure where Radio Pete has gone.
I don't know. He's researching deep into the bowels of his
bowels.
Yeah, Chuck Howley, heck of a game. Came up short though.
It was. We finally started discussing something where Pete was just like, "All right, I'm done." I'll see I'll see if they notice.
He's a pseudo Cowboys fan. Why wouldn't he want to hear about Chuck Howley?
Well, listen, this is probably TMI, but you use the word bowels.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's
no,
okay.
No. You had to go down into your basement and find something. We get it.
That's all I'm going to
say. Down into the bowels of the basement.
I thought I had a Chuck Howley jersey, and I went to look for it.
You went to look for it in the basement.
It's not where I thought it was.
You had to excuse yourself and take a Howley.
Howley. So, in any event, yeah. So that's what we're talking about. So anyway. All right. Well, that would be this week's Old Balls, and we've already done that. So let's move on to some Hot Stove. A little baseball action for you.
Anything going on? Jesus.
You know what? I mean, there's a few things. Here's a report. Let's talk about the Mets first for a second. According to Major League Baseball Network's MLB Network, Jeff McNeil. Remember how they rated Brendan Nimmo a few weeks ago as like one of the top 10 center fielders in baseball.
Yeah.
MLB Networks. Well, they rated, and this one is a little bit more believable. They rated Jeff McNeil the second best second baseman in the majors right now.
Really?
Yep. They called him the Shredder. The Major League Baseball on the Shredder. They called Jeff McNeil the second best second baseman in the majors. He had the highest batting average among MLB players has the highest batting average among MLB players since 2018. It's 318 batting average. He has 23 home runs in 2019. I hit 28 with a 311 and 4 homers and 14 doubles in 52 games last season. Over his first 3 years in the majors, he's hit 319 in 248 games. So, yeah. I mean, you kind of got to believe him at that point. I mean, McNeil's been pretty good defensively. His defensive numbers when he does play in the infield and his bat are pretty damn good. So they're calling him the second best second baseman in the majors right now. So, thoughts?
I think he's the most underrated second baseman in baseball right now.
Okay.
Who's no? I mean. I think you got to look at Marte in Arizona. Is DJ LeMahieu a second baseman? Jose Altuve. Who else am I missing? Brandon Lowe. Is it Mike Moustakas? I mean, there's a couple pretty good second basemen out there. But yeah, he might be on that list. I don't think he's number 2, but he's definitely in the top 7 or 8,
According to MLB right now, this is their list. As soon as it loads. Come on. There we go. Okay. They have DJ LeMahieu's number 1. Jeff McNeil's number 2. Marte's 3. Brendan Lowe's 4. Kevin Biggio's 5. Jake Cronenworth is 6. Donovan Solano with the Giants is 7. Chris Taylor from the Dodgers.
Is this just based on last year's statistics?
No. It's over the course of 3 years, I think.
All right, well, there's somebody that I would take maybe over all of them whose name hasn't been said yet. 9
is Jose Altuve, and 10 is Ozzie Albies.
So yeah. No, let's put Jose Altuve at number 9. Who's writing for this? Too many computers, too many statistical analysis, not enough eyes on the game.
Well, I guess that could be something that I guess that could have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So you would keep him in the top 10. You're saying?
Yeah, of course.
Would you keep him in the top 30?
Keep him in the top 10, maybe the top 7 or 8.
Yeah. I think he's honestly.
And he's young, and he's obviously got a lot of tread left on the tires. So.
I'll go with you with one of the most underrated second basemen, if not the most underrated.
No, people just don't know about him, But there's a lot of second basemen people don't know about.
But the reason, and people are going to know about him this year because the Mets haven't been able to play him on a regular basis at second base because they have to put Mr. Cano out there every game.
Right.
But now he's not playing this year, so But we'll get to see him on a regular basis and see. We'll see how that happens.
He must be phenomenal if he's number 2 and he doesn't play regularly.
Yeah.
I
think that was just based. I think that was just based on offensive numbers, and the fact that he's going to be a second baseman, and these are his offensive numbers. Obviously, I think that's where.
I'll be honest. I don't really know. I mean, I know he's a decent defensive second baseman, but I don't think there's enough. I don't think he's been out there enough to really say, okay.
Well, he really hasn't, and
he's up there with. That's one of the things about somebody like Altuve. He's been doing it for a long time. He's one of the biggest clutch hitters in baseball, and he's a pretty darn good second baseman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could say what you want about Robbie Cano. There were years there where Robbie Cano was not only one of the best second basemen, one of the best players in baseball.
Of course he was. He's not now, but he was. Absolutely. And that's true for anybody that plays that long.
I'll tell you what, though, Robbie Cano is going to make a pretty good DH for somebody this year. You watch, he's going to have a bounce back year. Not that he had a horrible year last year.
Well, you mean next year, because this year can only play in like Dominican Republic or
whatever. Yeah.
But in any event, that's that news, and nothing much more on Bauer and any of that. But it was put out there that the Mets' offer to Bauer was 3 or 4 years with opt-outs, but it was less than the $36 million annual average value salary he was looking for. He wants to be the highest paid. He wants a long contract, and he wants to be the highest paid pitcher in baseball. He wants to eclipse Garrett Cole's salary, and he wants a long-term deal. He wants valued at more than $324 million, which is what Cole got, and this is based on a 60-game season that he pitched in 11 games, so. Which is probably the reason why he isn't signed yet.
And it's probably the reason why he's going to go to a team that's going to put all their cards into him, and it's not going to be a contender.
Well,
before we move on, though, I just went to Major League Base MLB.com. This is who they have as their top relief pitchers. Okay. Kirby Yates as number 1, and number 2, Aroldis Chapman.
Aroldis Chapman is number 2.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't say closer. They said relief pitcher. So maybe he's bad. Maybe they're eyeing him.
He's a closer, so
setup role.
So not only is he better than all the other closers, but he's also better in their minds than all of the other relief pitchers. So. Yes. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So now is that the shredder, or is that just the because there's
it's MLB.com.
There you go.
Well, they would know.
Well, wouldn't they? Wouldn't they know?
You would think they would know.
They would know.
Like as far as Trevor Bauer goes, Tony Kornheiser talks about this a lot. I believe it was Don Ohlmeyer, who was a longtime NBC sports broadcasting executive, once said something very candid when asked about contracts and players and free agents. And he said, the answer to all your questions is money.
Sure.
Right.
And that's generally what it comes down to. And there are players who do take a little bit less to stay sometimes with a team.
Mm-hmm.
That does happen. But when you're talking about free agents,
it's all about the Benjamins.
It's all about money. And if that means you go to a lousy team, how old is Bauer now?
27.
27. So he's got years left. He could go somewhere for, unless he's looking to sign a 10 years, which probably would like a 10-year deal, but
the Mets are offering him 3 or 4 years. The Dodgers
he wants 5 or 6, right?
He wants 5 or 6, and he wants more than 30. He wants more than the $36 million that Garrett Cole is getting. He wants to be the highest paid pitcher. But right now, all signs point to the only 2 teams that he's going to wind up going to is either the Mets or the Dodgers.
Yeah,
and that's it. And the Dodgers and the Mets are actually offering him more years than the Dodgers are offering him. So, and he's just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. So.
Well, he's not in a hurry. And look, you would think that these are obviously going to be his formidable years, and going to signing
next 3 or 4,
but he could sign an 8-year contract. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be in the same place for 8 years, right?
Sure.
No. Lots of players don't play their entire contracts, probably.
Sure.
So he might go for the money right now, and then go, then I'll go somewhere for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and I'll make a boatload of money, and I'll still be in my early 30s, and I'll still be great, and I'll still be viable. And then I move to a contender and win a couple of World Series.
I still think the Yankees should make some moves and get him on their team. I think it'd be a great move for them if they did.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, they need a bit. The Yankees don't have a ton of time to win with this team because of where people are in their contracts, etc. Garrett Cole's not going to be great for 10 years. His best years are these next 2 or 3 years. So you have to pair him up with another top pitcher. And I don't see anybody else out there that's available that's better than Bauer. I just don't.
Yeah, there's really not. And there really isn't. So.
And I think that by slotting him behind Cole, it'll actually help his numbers because he won't be going up against the number one guy in the other team every series.
Right. Well, yeah, and the same holds true for the Mets because he's not going to whether he's on the
exactly
the Mets.
Exactly.
He's not starting for he's not your first starter over Cole on the Yankees, and certainly not your first starter over DeGrom on the Mets. So,
I'll tell you what: if the Yankees sign him, then I would agree to trade him to the Mets
for DeGrom.
I have dreams at night of Jacob DeGrom in Yankees uniform. I just do.
Especially when he wears his Mets pinstripes, you just picture those stripes a little darker.
I just picture him in a dark gray road uniform and starting Game 2 of the World Series.
What was it? Was it MLB Network or was it just Major League Baseball or whatever? The writers or somebody, appointed him or declared him the top pitcher in baseball last week.
And I mean, look, if Syndergaard can come back in any resemblance of what he was, and the Mets get Bauer, I think they've got without a doubt the best starting pitching in baseball.
Yeah, you got DeGrom, Bauer, Carrasco, Stroman, and Syndergaard. Syndergaard's your fifth starter. And then you also have you have a few other arms behind that too. Peterson's still.
You just need a closer.
You need a yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but, I don't know who's out there for the Yankees.
You guys want one?
No.
The Yankees are getting rid of pitching.
They are.
It seems like they're just dumping players left and right.
Tanaka's going back to Japan, right?
I think they got rid of Adam Batavia, who's another top 10 closer. I have a feeling that when it's all said and done, I think the Yankees are going to make a big move, and I think you're going to see Trevor Story on the Yankees. Right now, we are in a typical scenario with the Colorado Rockies out here, where they have two of maybe the top 10 infielders in baseball, and they're getting rid of one who's possibly, arguably the best third baseman in the last 10 years in baseball, and they're going to dump Story. It's just what the Rockies do. You could put 5 donkeys and a burrito out on the field, and people in Denver will go watch baseball.
Yeah,
it's just these owners are not about winning, and it's too bad because watching Trevor Story over the years and watching Nolan Arenado, these are guys that if they were in a big market would be big names. And yes, you could argue, it's because of the altitude and they play. These guys' numbers are great home and on the road, and I actually think you're going to see Trevor Story playing shortstop for the Yankees.
That'd be interesting.
If they don't get Trevor Bauer, I think you're going to see Story playing for the Yankees.
Trevor or another.
Yeah.
So didn't the Rockies just have somebody retire too?
I don't know.
Just last week?
Who retired for the Rockies?
Wouldn't that be Mr. Daniel Murphy?
Oh yeah, well, is he really a Rocky?
Well, he kind of was, kind of, sort of. But now Daniel Murphy retired. But let me ask you this really quick on one more thing on the Mets. Actually, two really quick. One, is Jake Odorizzi a fallback, a suitable, second choice if the Mets one way or another don't sign Trevor Bauer?
I mean,
or would you go with, or would you not bother and go with what you have and bring, hope Peterson works out a little bit more, comes into form a little bit more?
No, I think you got to go. I think you
still need another arm.
Yeah, you can never have enough.
So if you don't get Bauer, Odorizzi's fine. Just get him. Obviously Bauer is the preference, but back it up with Odorizzi kind of thing.
Yeah, and then if the other guys do bounce back, then you've got what you need,
surplus, and
and when the postseason comes, you need middle relief, especially if it's going to be I mean, if it's anything like last year's postseason where there's not as much time in between games,
sure,
you need as much pitching as you possibly can, and guys who are flexible enough who can give you 3 innings one game and another two innings the next.
Yeah, very true. And the other thing I just want to say, should the Mets make it a priority before spring training, and for that matter, the season starts, of extending Conforto and Lindor now, or wait till after the season? Because they wait till after the season, they're both free agents, and then they gotta deal with that.
I don't think Lindor is going to do it before the end of the season. Conforto might be a different story. I don't think you're going to see either of them. I just don't think you're going to see the players commit to an extension before then.
Gotcha. Well,
I think Conforto has a better chance of.
I think you might see
doing it. I wouldn't see why would Lindor want to do that.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what the numbers are, right? And if the contract's
well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, why would you want to?
And I think the Mets want to see what he does.
Yeah, let him play. I think well, they know
don't get
Conforto, let Lindor play, and then
don't get yourself into a Stanton situation.
This is true. Moving to the Yankees, there's a report that Kyle Higashioka wants to do right in a potentially awkward situation, and he expressed confidence that Gary Sanchez will do the same as far as catching goes. You feel it's going to be awkward, or you think Higashioka is the starter, or you think they're going to put? I
think it's going to be what they've been doing for the last number of years. I think you're going to see Kyle catch, 40% of start at about 40% of the games. Here's the thing: is that look, if the Yankees want to put Torres at second base, they have arguably the two of the top 5 second basemen in Torres and LeMahieu. Right. LeMahieu is a great first baseman as well. So if they can get a shortstop in Trevor Story, move Torres to second base, they're going to move LeMahieu to first.
Right.
That means that you can't put Sanchez as a DH when you got what's his name, who led the major leagues in home runs there, who's going to need to platoon a little bit at first base and be the DH. So that would be the one thing that would maybe delegate Sanchez to less games started and more of an even split, or maybe even not starting as many games. I would love to see the Yankees get something for Gary Sanchez. I'm not sure Higoshi is he's a good defensive catcher. Obviously the pitchers who have a say in who they want behind the plate want him to catch them. We'll see. I think it all depends on whether or not the Yankees infield changes. If it stays as it is, then I think you'll see Sanchez catching and DHing.
Right.
But I think he's a wing. I think neither him or Kyle Higoshi are great hitters. Sanchez is miserable. So if you're stuck with a situation where they're both in your lineup, not great for the Yankees.
Yeah.
So it could get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think Sanchez his confidence is rocked a little bit. I think he needs to get a little bit more confidence, and he's got to have a good spring training, and he's got to get off to a hot start. Yeah. And so I think the Yankees will force him behind the plate because they're committed to him.
Right.
They're committed to him.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. The other thing I was going to say, Urshela and Voit, they both won Munson Awards the other day too.
Yeah,
and as well as Michael Conforto, by the way.
I mean, the Yankees, the Yankees with Urshela and who's the other third baseman that the Yankees had that had a better year than Urshela the year before, who's not as good defensively. Anyway, the Yankees are going to need to move, I think, a couple people to get a pitcher. Whether it's in a free agent signing where they need to clear cap room, or if they're going to actually go out and get a pitcher, they're going to need to make a decision. Is it Luke Voit? He's probably got a lot of trade value right now.
I think it's Luke Voit. Well, that brings me. Let me.
I think it's Andahar. I think it's Urshela. It's one of those guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as that goes, I was saying that Luke Voit is actually already in. They're both ready for spring training, but Luke Voigt's actually already in Tampa. So he's already he's down there. He's getting ready for.
I would say Luke Voigt was the second best Yankee last year.
Yeah. But to your point, Miguel Andujar now has new representation. He switched agents. Do you think that means that's what'll fall into play right there? What you're talking about as far as cleaning cap room and so forth and so on.
I like Andujar. I think I want his bat in the lineup. I think he's, as far as Yankee hitters goes, I'd rather see him at the plate than Stanton or Sanchez at any time in the game. The problem is that he's not going to start at third now, and he attempted to play out the outfield a few times last year, and it was just a train wreck.
It was a train wreck, yeah.
But what do you do with the Yankees outfield? I mean, Stanton's not necessarily Willie Mays out there.
Yeah, was it that much more of a train wreck than Stanton?
Yes. Okay. Because he's not. Because he's kind of a shitty third baseman who can hit really well, who was really exposed when they had him in left field. But if Gardner comes back and you got Judge, you got Stanton, the Yankees outfield, Mike Tauchman's got to play. I mean, again, another guy who I'd rather stick with Tauchman than have some of these other guys who are costing you more money. I think you can never have enough players, especially the Yankees in the last couple of years have had a lot of injuries. I don't think there's been a time where they played more than 10 games in a row with their actual, starting lineup intact. So that always helps. But again, he's another guy Andujar's a great DH. And so now all of a sudden you have all these guys who are DH material and two of them can't hit.
Right.
So the Yankees are not going to give up on Sanchez. I think one of those other players is going to move, and we'll see. We'll see what pans out. It all depends on what other teams want.
This is true. A couple other things around Major League Baseball. First of all, I mentioned it the other day. I don't know if you saw it. Dustin Pedroia retired. Are you happy about that?
Am I happy about that? He's such a great little bastard. He's one of the classic Red Sox cocksuckers that you just love to hate. I don't know. I liked him. I mean, he's one of those guys who's played way above his so-called talent level for years, and yeah, he'll be missed. I mean, he is the Red Sox in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think he's played long enough. I'd have to really dig into his numbers, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Pete?
I mean, if Fred Lynn's not a Hall of Famer, Dustin Pedroia is not a Hall of Famer.
There's a lot of people that aren't Hall of Famers that should be Hall of Famers, and there's a good handful that
Jim
that
Rice,
are Hall of Famers.
Jim Rice isn't even a Hall of Famer,
right? There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah, he might get some votes because of the position that he played, but that I think it more than anything not more than anything, but I mean he had some good numbers too, but that might get him a few extra votes that he wouldn't normally get if he were, an outfielder or whatever.
That's true. Well, I mean, if everything goes like the way it went this year, nobody's ever going to be in the Hall of Fame again, right? There's 14 blank ballots, and
no one deserves it.
14 blank ballots.
Well, speaking of that, I don't want to get political, but this is coming from somebody who hates the motherfucker. Curt Schilling belongs in the Hall of Fame. End of argument.
Yeah.
End of argument.
Right. Maybe
one of the top three performers in the postseason in the history of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Curt Schilling deserves to be in the Hall of
Fame. Yeah.
Pedroia's batting average is a lot higher than I thought it was. I mean,
it's pretty high.
299 career batting average. Yeah, so
he's got the numbers. He's not gonna win hands down, but he could sneak in one year.
Yeah.
He's got the numbers, and he did play a decent amount of years too. It was only like 5 years.
No, he played 2006 to 2019.
Yeah, he played.
His first year playing was really 2007. But
his first year playing, they won the World
two
Series.
Championships. Yeah,
he's got 2 championships, and he was out injured for the 2018 championship, which is why he doesn't qualify as having the championship. So, but so there you go. And then the one other thing I want to bring up is Major League Baseball. The Players Association rejected MLB's proposal again to delay the 2021 season. They said they were going to, make it 154 game season, delay it, and but it was going to be full season pay. So, and that was the. I mean, not that it would have been only 8 games less, but there was the universal DH was in there and expanded playoffs. But I think it had a lot more to do with the
postseason,
with the expanded playoffs, and also they were worried because Rob Manfred's going to get extra powers to cancel games, scratch games throughout the season if there was anything COVID related.
I think that was the two things. It was that, and I think, and I'm with them on the postseason. Yeah. Can we just let it settle? I don't even, if somebody was to ask me today, and I consider myself a pretty avid baseball fan, what is the makeup of Major League Baseball's postseason? I can't answer that question. No. I haven't known it for 10 years. I just don't know anymore. I don't know. All the really good team with 106 wins plays a team that has 75 wins. If they lose one game, they're out.
Right.
It just makes no sense at all.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Of course, I'm still mad that there's more than 4 divisions.
Well, it only makes sense if you look at it in terms of how do we get the most dollars.
Right.
It's all about the Benjamins.
And unfortunately,
and I'm okay with that. But let's do it in a way that is somewhat in the middle. I think there should not be any series that's less than 5 games. And
you're preaching to the choir.
And with you 100%.
And the one thing I don't like about it is that the teams that win right now, they're in a bye. I say if you're going to do it, have 1 play 4 and 2 play 3 or whatever the case may be. But don't have a bye in that first series, because I think that puts the team at a disadvantage in baseball if you're sitting there for a week and a half waiting for series to end.
It sucks for. I mean, you look at it like this in like 7-game series, or well, obviously 7-game series only. The LCS and the World Series. Well, that doesn't matter. But just to take a look at the LCS, if a team plays their league championship series and sweeps 4 games. And I'm not talking about the quick games in the bubble in this year. I'm just normal years with your days off in between. Sweeps and takes the first 4 games. All right. And then the other teams in the other league go 7. Right. That's a week off.
Yeah.
Without baseball, minimum.
You can't have
for the team that swept.
You can't have
so right away they're at a disadvantage.
You can't have these. If you're going to have 6 teams in each league and have 1 play 6, 2 play 5, blah 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 blah.
Right.
And have the first series be 5 and the next 2 be 7 and call it a day. But I just don't like these. I never was a fan of the one and done thing. I think that's ridiculous. I don't like the play-in game. I don't like any of it. I don't like it. I've
never been a fan of a bye.
And the play-in game was just, it's not fair.
I'm almost happier in football that they added that extra wild card team, because now there's only 1 team that has a bye.
Right. And that's one game. It's not, and so it's different with baseball, especially with, the way in which, I mean, it could help you a little bit if somebody's hurt or something like that and gives you a little bit of rest, but it doesn't seem to bode well for the teams that are waiting around.
Agreed. Absolutely.
So I don't know.
Let's put the other thing is put a paper together and get in front of Manfred and see what he says.
Yeah, and if you're a team that's getting a bye, then you're obviously a good team.
Yeah.
And it's not that much of an advantage if you're playing a longer series.
Yeah.
If the first round of everyone's playoff series was 1 game or 3 games, then having that bye can be an advantage. But if you're talking about, generally speaking, the longer series, the better team, is at an advantage and usually wins.
Well, I mean, you guys remember that the pennant used to be 5 games. Yeah. Then the World Series was 7. That was it. You had 2 teams play a 5-game series. The winners of each of that played in the World Series. That was it.
And it was fine.
It was great. The only time you had a 1-game playoff was when you were tied. Yeah. We all remember what happens when that happens.
Yeah.
But I don't like any of it. It's sensational. It's sort of it's meant to be in the world that we live today, where somebody's watching clips of it on their phone while they're doing so. I just don't like it. I also think baseball is going to have a problem. I think baseball did well with them when they were bubbled up. I think that the players have some right to be concerned with an extended series, and I do think that they should be. I think that they should be looking at regional games with teams playing 2 or 3 series against, similar teams, and then moving and playing the next round of games. Because if it's just a normal season with back and forth, I don't know how you control it.
No, you can't. You can't.
And I think the hope was that there'd be vaccines available and that there'd be much more upfront work done.
There will be. There will be
next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no.
There will be some this year too, and they're gonna get vaccines too.
The delay they wanted to do, they wanted to delay it. They wanted to delay spring training to have spring training not even start until March 22nd.
I'm okay with that, actually.
And then the regular season would start on April 28th.
I'm okay with that. And they have good reason for that, because they played an odd season last year.
Right.
So
and it would be a one. So they'd only lose 8 games because the season would extend a little bit more into October.
I think it was a good proposal.
I think it was great. I don't think the players probably had anything.
I don't think that was
upset about. Not at all. It was the expanded playoffs, and it was Manfred's extra powers, and they got a CBA. They got a collective bargaining agreement coming due this year too. So I think that there was probably a few things in there that they want to address as well, but.
But it will be nice to know that there's a full season, or at least the modicum of a full season.
I mean, 154 games was, 45 years ago was a full season, right?
Sure.
Right. But they'll have more leverage when they're negotiating the CBA as opposed to now to kind of, work some of these things in.
55 years ago.
Yeah.
But,
I think it's going to be, it's one of those baseball seasons, it seems like, where there's some new players in town, literally, and we could have some teams that we haven't been talking about in a few years be on the radar again.
This is true.
I mean, Toronto, the Mets, I think the Cardinals are making moves.
Yeah.
San Diego's probably going to be better than they were last year.
San Diego, let's see if Tampa is what they were last year. Let's see if the Reds were what they were last year. The Braves again. I mean, there's a lot of teams that did well in a shortened season last year, primarily, I think, because their pitching staff was able to accommodate the change in the schedule. Yeah. We'll see what happens this year. Maybe it returns to form, but who knows? But there's going to be a lot more parity, I think, in baseball this year.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Let's get out of baseball and talk a little basketball, shall we?
Well, I just looked at the scores. If the Knicks just were able to play the Bulls every game, they'd be at least at 500.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they actually lost the other night.
I know they did, but I feel like they played the Bulls like 8 times this year.
Yeah, I think they did, actually. They did.
Oh, they lost. I thought they won the other night.
No, they won tonight.
They won tonight, 107, 103.
They did win the other night. Then they lost the other night, and now they won again. Yeah. Who knows how often they've played the Bulls, but.
We shall see, but the couple things about that. I mean, Randall's turnovers. I mean, he had a decent game tonight. At 27 points with
the ball died. The ball dies in his hands.
It's ridiculous what they
dies in his hands.
What do you have? 5 turnovers on what was it? Friday night or Saturday night?
It's at times. They can move the ball well when they're using him in the post, but then on other times it just seems like it just dies in his hands. And look, he's a high percentage shooter. He shot almost 50% from the field tonight. Yeah. He was 5 of 7 from 3-point range. It's when he gets the ball in the post he's plus 14 tonight, 27 points. You can't argue with the numbers, but the same criticism, and I don't think it was as bad with Carmelo, was levered against Carmelo when he's on the Knicks. I see the same thing with Randall. His numbers are great, but it just seems like at times the ball movement stops. Now, the key to the Knicks this season is 2 guys. Randall has to have his normal game, and Barrett and Payton have to perform, and they win. If Barrett and Payton play well, they win.
Yeah.
They had
Payton had a good night.
Yep.
He did
20 points.
And what I'm looking at is he had 8 assists, 8 rebounds. And right. but the Knicks. Here's how you summarize the Knicks. There's not a lot of assists on this team. They had 19 assists for the game. 19. James Harden, I think, had that by himself the other night. The ball doesn't move as much. I give Thibodeau all the credit in the world. The Knicks, I think, going into tonight, were still the number 1 defensive team in the league. They are playing really well on defense, and a lot of those players have improved. I think you're going to see guys like Noel and Quickly. Robinson's game has really improved. Even Randall's playing good defense. They're long, they're active, they're playing good team defense, but they're not a great passing team. The ball sticks.
Yeah.
When you talk about the defense, you're absolutely right. And I mean, these are numbers as of last Friday, so I don't know what they are as of today. But as of last Friday, the Knicks have the lowest points allowed total in the league. Yeah. They're number 1 in points allowed.
And look, Thibodeau's starting to get his
least points allowed, I should say.
He's starting to get his rotation in order. And here are the people that are getting left out: Kevin Knox and Frank Nicolita. They have not played. I don't think Knox has played in 3 games in a row.
Knox hasn't played. Nicolita hasn't played. No.
Tosh Gibson was a pickup that you didn't. The Knicks have 3 centers now.
Yeah.
So you don't expect Gibson to get big minutes until maybe the playoffs, but. There's some talk about maybe Noel and Burks and some of these other guys being trade bait. I like what the Knicks have. Again, I feel like they need a true. I think Payton's a good point guard. I just don't think he'd be a great guy to come in on the second team. If the Knicks had a really good point guard, a guy who could score and pass the ball and move the ball more, I think you got yourself a team that's above 500.
I've been saying that for 3 years, though.
There has been chatter about a trade for Zach LaVine. So.
Yeah, there's been chatter about that, and he's unproven. I mean, he's a great young star. Obviously, he's having a pretty good year. Is that really what the Knicks need? No. I don't know. I mean, who's a point guard that can score and passes the ball, and who's not too old but not too young? They're few and far between. I mean, there was talk of Westbrook. I don't think he's the right fit for this team, and obviously, I think Russell Westbrook's kind of on the downturn. Who's going to come to the Knicks? You just don't know.
How do you feel about Obi Toppin's struggles? I mean, he's
it's to be expected. Rookie, but... I thought he was an odd pick. I wasn't really high on him as a pick for the Knicks. I think he suffers. I think he's a little bit of a tweener. I think he's athletic. I don't think he has the best shot in the world. Am I giving up on him? Certainly no. But he's not. I never expected him to be that guy who come out of the gate and contribute as a starter. Right. I just don't see it. Right. He's not the pure shooter that the guys who are pure shooters or are super athletic and aggressive towards the hole. Those are the guys who can come into the NBA and do something. Yeah. He's not a great rebounder. He's not a great shooter. He's a good player. I thought he was not the right pick for this team. I feel like they already have Obi Toppins on this team, and now they've got another one.
Now they got another. You're absolutely right. Let's switch up to the Nets for a second.
Big win last night.
Yeah, but a big win last night. But what is it with? I mean, are they going to play defense? Ever?
No. This is like watching the San Antonio Spurs and the Denver Nuggets of the 1976 ABA playoffs. It's just like, I mean, you remember when the Nuggets had the Spurs had George Gervin, the Nuggets had like David Thompson and Alex English on the same team. That's what I feel like I was watching. It's just, it's unbelievable. And the Clippers are looking good. I mean, Kawhi's been playing lights out. So is Paul George.
Kawhi Leonard's been playing great.
But the Nets,
it was a big win last night.
The Nets beat them.
Yeah, 124-120. But again, those huge numbers, it's ridiculous. But here's a stat for you. Before Harden came to the Nets, their average points per game was 119. 0.6 and after is 127, right? So he's scoring more. So he's passing the ball around. So they're scoring more. But allowed before he came to the Knicks, the Nets was 112 and now it's 124.
Right.
So they're playing less defense with him.
Irving's back too. Yeah. So that's the other thing that doesn't help the defense is that Kyrie Irving's not going to help the defensive troubles either way. You can't blame James Harden, though. Okay? James Harden took 15 shots. When was the last time you saw James Harden take 15 shots?
In a quarter, maybe.
Yeah. Okay? Yeah. He had 23 points.
Well, I think it was a couple games ago.
14 assists and 11 rebounds.
A couple games earlier, he took 15 shots.
Yeah. I mean, he is not – Kyrie's the one taking the most shot. I'll tell you what. Harden's been pretty efficient, but Durant has become even more efficient. He had 28 points on 13 shots.
Yeah.
He made 11 of 13, only took one three-pointer, made it, shot 5 of 5 from the free throw line, had 9 rebounds, and 28 points.
That's like in the dictionary under efficiency is a picture of that.
But look at Kyrie's stat line.
I know.
15 of 23, 65% from the field, 6 of 8 from 3-point range.
Yep.
And 3 of 3 from the line. He was a 39 points. He was a -4.
I know. But he was -4. Durant was -8. You want to know why? They played against the Clippers starting lineup. If you notice, Harden's playing the most minutes, and he's playing the most minutes with the second units, along with Harris. Yep. And that's where the Nets are chipping away, and that's why Harden was a +8 and Durant's a -8. So you could talk about the defense, but there's something about that in between end of quarter, second quarter, beginning of fourth quarter time when Harden is on there with the second unit where the Nets seem to have an advantage.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think we're rapidly reaching a point where you can say about the Nets, as good as they obviously are offensively, they're not going to win a championship unless they make a move and get some more defense. No. They lost too much defense, and again,
but, I mean, they beat arguably the best team in the NBA, but you can't give up 120 points, but it's not going to work in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not going to work. And again, there's no way they're going to get to the playoffs with no defense. So.
You're not going to get Kyrie shooting 65%. Durant was 11 for 13 from the field. You're not going to get that.
But he's been that way all year.
Yeah, but over an extended series against another good team.
There's never been a more efficient player. I mean, he reminds me of Alex English and George Gerber, but those guys took way more. He is so efficient. It's unbelievable.
But when you're going to get into an extended series with a good team,
right?
You're not going to be able to do that every night. They're going to figure you out. Anybody who's got good defense, they're going to figure it out. So they've got to make a move.
Part of the problem is that they're not starting DeAndre Jordan, who is probably their best defensive player in a lot of ways.
Right.
He's +6. He didn't have a bad game. But when it's Jordan and Harden and Harris and Brown on the court, they seem to get the better of the other team's second unit. So there's some logic to that. But I think they need a center. I think they need an enforcer, an athletic big man who can play defense.
Yeah, that's what they. And I heard people talking today about somebody who's going to get rebounds. That the teams they're playing are getting too many second chances on offense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Sometimes third chances is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's just not that guy. So yeah, they need somebody to plug up the center. And when the other team misses a shot, somebody's going to come down with the ball.
This is the Clippers' problem too. The Nets out-rebounded the Clippers by 10. And this is something I've noticed with the Clippers too. Especially they got rid of a couple players who were. It's the same thing the Nuggets were going through when they got rid of some of the guys that they did. They're not as solid. None of these teams are as solid defensively as they need to be, and that's why I still think the Lakers are a better team than the Clippers, because when it comes time to play defense, I think they arguably have 2 of the top 4 or 5 defenders in the league on one team. Yeah. So I don't know. It's the Nets are fun to watch, but it's almost like it doesn't register because there's just so many points going up.
It's just point after point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think it's we're all saying, Yes, they need help on defense. They have no defense, but when you can score that much, it really doesn't get exposed.
But there's never been
until you get into an extended series.
Until you get into a playoff. There's never been a team. None of those high-flying teams from the West has ever won, with the exception of more recently the Golden State Warriors. But the Warriors also were able to score 130 and hold you to 96.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. But none of those high-flying teams that were just up and down the court were ever able to win a championship.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're what, 20? Well, we're about a third of the way through, right?
Yeah.
21, 22, right? The Nets are
22, 20,
14 and 9, so 23 games in.
Yeah. So yeah, you're talking a little just beyond the third of the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and look, you've got the Bucks are right there, of course. The Sixers are tops in the Eastern Conference, and don't see any sign of them slowing down. So
no. Yeah, you don't. It doesn't look like it's going to be something that the Nets are going to be able to run away with, especially not playing any D. So
no, that's just the thing. You can put up 140, but if you give up 141,
exactly.
It doesn't. It's the same. It's the same as if you lose, 88 to 89 or whatever.
But it's always it's always right there. I mean, it's not they're not blowing anybody out, and they're not getting blown out when they do lose. But it's always within a few points. It's like what they won last night, 124 to 120.
Well,
but if they scored 144, the Clippers would have scored 140. It's
right. And I would say what's more concerning, or at least as concerning, is that there are plenty of games where they have had sizable leads. And they have either won by a couple of points or in some cases lost by a point or two.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But, blown like 13-point leads, 19-point leads.
That's everybody, though. That's everybody in the NBA.
It is. But when you have that sort of offensive firepower, you should be able to kind of hang on to those leads. But, they are fun to watch, but they got to get some D.
This is very true.
They didn't hire Greg Popovich to be their coach. That's for sure.
No, they didn't. They hired the anti-defensive coaching staff.
Yeah.
But hey, whatever works.
Much of the staff, not just the head coach.
No.
They brought in who can we bring in? Some other guys who are also not defensive.
Let's face Nash. He doesn't play any defense. Who can we get that'll help? How about D'Antoni? Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Yeah. The only coach worse.
Yeah.
That's also why Harden wanted to go to the Nets.
Absolutely.
D'Antoni's an offensive player's, wet dream.
That's probably why they hired him.
Yeah.
We might get Harden sometime in the future. So let's bring in a coach that we know is going to make him happy.
I'll tell you what. Here's my picks for the two surprise teams so far this year in the NBA. The Jazz, who have the best record in basketball right now.
Yeah, they got that's
the top. And a great coach who I think he's the coach of the year right now. And the Spurs. What Greg Popovich is doing, the Spurs are 12-10. I know that's not a great, but they're in the playoffs right now.
Yeah. In
a Western Conference that's pretty tough. And I'll tell you what, man, that is just a class organization, and I love watching them play basketball. It's just, and you watch the morning sports shows on ESPN, and they're talking about who's the MVP so far, and blah 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 blah. And the one person I never hear in the conversation is Nikola Jokic. This guy's having a spectacular season so far. It is, it's him and Embiid. Those are the guys who are having, he's averaging 27, 12, and 9. And his PER is second in the league at 31.38.
Jokic.
27, 12, and 9.
That's not that good. That's not that good.
Come on, guys. We got to start talking about him as an MVP candidate. We have to. I get it. Embiid's having a good year, but I'm not going to give in that he's the best center in basketball.
Well, Jokic's got to start chirping a little bit. I know it's not his style.
He is. Nobody understands him. He is. He's in Denver. Nobody hears him.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's got to get a little. He's got to do something that's click worthy.
He needs a few more TikTok videos.
He's got to do a couple TikToks. Yeah, a couple more reels.
But tomorrow night, Nuggets at the Lakers. I think this is going to be a good test. The Lakers look tough, though. I mean,
they do.
I think the Lakers kind of have. Popovich didn't worry so much about being the best team, right? During the regular season.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers and I think that a lot of that comes from LeBron. You don't have to be great every single night. You don't.
You're pacing yourself.
Yeah. Especially coming off, a shortened season. So let's pace ourselves, stay rested, stay healthy, and then get into the playoffs, and then we just can crush everybody. So
yeah. I'll tell you what, man. Utah's a fun team to watch with Mitchell and Bogdanovich and Gobert. The Jazz are back. They're a tough team. It's the West is going to be. The West is not going to be as cut and dry as I think people make it out to be.
It's certainly shaping up that way, and it's definitely shaping up to be a fun season so far. So.
And the Sixers continue to win basketball games.
Yeah, and they don't look like they're going to stop either. So that's just.
I mean, Doc Rivers was the right guy. I mean, an old school coach for kind of an old school type of player. He's got Embiid and Simmons playing the best ball of their careers. I mean, Embiid 34. I mean, he's putting up like Hakeem numbers. He's just dominating.
Yeah, well, it's not the playoffs yet. So.
No, it isn't. And quite honestly, there's nobody to guard him. I mean, he is a 1990s center playing in 2021. And, I mean, how many great defensive centers are there in the league?
True.
I mean, he's one. But he's not guarding himself. I mean, Gobert.
Gobert is probably.
I mean, I'm at a loss.
Yeah. Well, you're probably right.
That's is Dwight Howard going to cover him? Is Anthony Davis? I mean, they list Anthony Davis as a power forward. Is he really a power forward or is he a center?
He's kind of a center.
He's kind of a center. I mean, that's a good matchup.
Yeah.
But we might. I mean, if it's the Sixers and the Lakers, we might finally see a battle of some big men again that we haven't seen the likes of in a long, long time.
Yeah, that's true.
When was the last time there were two big men sort of who could dominate the game? And granted, Davis is still the second fiddle to LeBron, but this could be good.
It very well could be. Very well could be. All right. Well, couple other notes. Actually, we'll just do one quick because we don't want to leave it out. One quick NHL note. Tony DeAngelo and the Rangers was put on waivers the other day. An altercation with Alexei Georgiev, the goalie for the Rangers. Not too fun there. So they told him his antics, if you will, his shenanigans, to use a word from earlier in the show, were to be stopped, and they weren't. So goodbye. Bye-bye. See you.
Did hockey start?
No, that was preseason. Yes, hockey started. We're 3 weeks in now. So
I know, I'm joking.
I know you know that. But yeah, it's an interesting season. It's a slow going season. We'll have more in the future.
In the dog days of spring.
In the dog days of
after football, before. Basketball is not in the playoffs yet.
Basketball won't be in the playoffs. There'll be a little bit more hockey conversation.
I think like May and June we'll still be talking about Major League Baseball trades.
Probably because they'll still be going on. So
yeah.
How come the Islanders and the Devils were both canceled tonight?
Islanders
snow.
Yeah, Islanders played a lot of games straight, and they were traveling or whatever, so they set them up. They're not going to play till at least Saturday. The Islanders, they pushed 4 games off. I really didn't hear. I mean, there was like COVID undertones to that. The
cool COVID undertones.
Not that anybody tested positive or whatever. I guess it was just, but they're traveling and the amount of games
I thought it had to do with the snow.
I might have had something to do with the snow too, but
hey. Yeah, that was 2 days ago.
Yeah,
the snow.
Well, you're on the island. How much did you get?
A lot. As a matter of fact, I don't know what the count was, but my little town of East Northport got the most on Long Island.
It
was officially announced.
Congratulations!
Yeah,
there you go.
Suck it, Comac.
That is an honor.
Bite me. Half Hollow Hills.
Comac was second.
I don't know.
All right,
they're just the next town over.
We cannot delve into.
Go to hell. Go to hell.
We cannot go into snow total.
Green lawn.
Please, let's not go.
I get some snow totals from Denver. So.
Yeah, no, that
I love it in Denver though because it can snow 3 feet and then the next day be 75 degrees. That's the beauty.
Or the same day, yeah.
Or the same later that day, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that doesn't count. It's too much of a different part of the country.
Gotcha. All right.
You got real mountains out there.
That's yeah, and they're pretty to look at from the city too. So.
Yeah. So yeah, there's hockey.
There's hockey in a nutshell. All right.
That's what else do we really need to say about it?
I'm still trying to figure out the hockey standings and how a team that's 7-1 can be behind a team that's 4-3.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's a whole other world of
there's a lot of hockey
statistical
teams.
factoring.
I feel like there's too many hockey teams.
There should just be 5.
Well, I don't know. Again, anyone named after any team named after a natural disaster or some sort of strange animal, desert animal. Those are obviously the new teams.
Next year there's a new team that's named after a strange sea creature.
Yeah, I know.
We've
already talked about that.
Yes, we did.
The Kraken.
The Kraken.
To add to Bernie's point, Boston is 10-7-1 with 2 overtime games. Philly is 11-7-2 with 2 overtime games. They have twice as many points as the 9-3-4 Islanders and the 9-3-4 Rangers. So it's those tie games, I guess.
It's overtime losses.
Yeah. So there you go.
It's overtime losses. That's what it boils down to. But hey, well, we'll report more on that as the season shapes up, and obviously once we get past the Super Bowl.
Will we really though?
Well, maybe. Well, a little bit more than we did tonight. I'm not sure.
We might have to bring in a hockey expert.
We'll bring in our Zamboni driver friend.
Because you know how I don't know much about anything. I know even less about hockey.
You know even less about hockey.
Yeah, that is just not.
I'm really good at like late 70s, early 80s hockey into like nowadays. Like, is Chico Resch still playing for the Devils?
Chico Resch is still playing for the Devils.
Comparisons to the 82 Bruins, I think they're good.
Dennis Potvin still out on Island.
I do think we should play the Jordache commercial or the Sassoon commercial that the Rangers did. Ooh la la Sassoon.
Ooh la la Sassoon. The Sassoon jeans. Yeah.
But
that was who was that? Oh, that was crap.
It was all the pretty boys of
the Rangers back in the late.
Oh, the Rangers that got lolly lipped by the Islanders.
There you go.
Yes, the four-time
NHL Stanley Cup champion. New York Islanders, 80-83.
I heard Nassau Coliseum was rebuilt, huh?
I guess so.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of cool stuff over near there. They got
the Islanders are like a divorced couple, that splits their time between Brooklyn and the island. It's like they're like kids that go back and forth from mom's house to dad's house. Dad's cool apartment in Brooklyn to the house mom won in the divorce in Long Island.
That sounds about right.
It's really true, though. It's very
yeah. They never,
and they get to go visit their cool uncle at Madison Square Garden and their strange uncle in Newark.
When they, that's like when they do something wrong, they get shipped off to Newark for the weekend. That's right. They go visit Uncle Joey.
It's so strange. I never thought that the Islanders would be playing in Brooklyn and Long Island, and the Devils would be playing in Newark.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Stranger, I would say stranger things have happened, but not really.
Not really.
That's pretty strange.
No.
That's pretty high on the stranger meter there, Sam.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that'll wrap the show up for today. What do you think?
I'll wrap it up.
There was that time when the Saskatchewan Saskatoonians actually played in Ottawa. played their home games in Ottawa.
Remember, they had to travel. Oh my God, that was horrible.
And they had to skate there.
The Saskatchewan Jazz. They were there.
Saskatchewan Jazz.
The Saskatchewan Bebops.
Actually, it was the Saskatchewan.
Wasn't all the Saskatchewan teams the Rough Riders? That was the
Ottawa Rough Riders.
There was like all the Edmonton teams were the Oilers, and all the
Ottawa teams were the Rough Riders. Yeah. Saskatchewan Jazz.
I think next week we should do top 10 Canadian football teams of all time.
Absolutely. Doug Flutie played on a couple of them. He had to have.
Yeah, but BC, right?
Yeah.
British Columbia.
Yeah, 6 of them are going to be like Toronto.
BC Lions. Yeah. Any team that's named the Rough Ride. I mean, who came up with that? Exactly. What focus group is that? Let's call our team the Rough Riders.
Well, it might mean something different in Canada.
You never know.
Obviously, it means something different everywhere else. Yeah. There's no irony lost there. Yeah. It's leather night for the Rough Riders. It's a little cold here in Saskatchewan for my chaps. Have to wear my 30s under my chaps.
There you go. On that note, folks.
All right, we're done. We're out of here.
We want to thank everyone for watching. And for those of you that are just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.loggerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Logger Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at 7:30. And for those of you that want to just listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And for those of you that have not done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of the week. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the NFL honors on Saturday night to see who wins all the awards. Enjoy the Super Bowl, of course, on Sunday. And enjoy the commercials if there are any decent ones. And we will talk to you next week, folks. Take care.
Go Bucks.
By the way, I just found out Boston actually made a 4th album. Did you guys know that?
4th album, yes.
I didn't know that. Anyway, peace.
Good night. Ciao.